It's the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. And this is the Bennington Show. Chock full of big stars stopping by here today.
I know, we're so guesty today.
Yeah, we're very, very guesty. Jackie Martlin's going to be here.
Woohoo!
Also, Susie Essman is going to be here. I haven't seen her in years.
So excited to meet her.
And Jeff Garland is
Jeff.
going to be here. 2/3 of the Curbs. 1/3 of the big book that he's putting out. I think it's called From Bow to Stern or From Stern to Bow. The Jackie Martling story as told to Jackie Martling. We had a big night last night going to see Lisa Lampanelli's new play. And it's called Stuffed. I was pretty hungry by the... It's supposed to be like an anti-food addiction, and I was starving by the time I got out of there.
I know. I would highly recommend getting dinner beforehand.
Do what I did. Take some snacks, keep them in your pocket.
So you stay stuffed.
Yeah, I went through some Lifesavers like there was no tomorrow.
Every time they mentioned a sweet, I was like, hand me one of those Lifesavers.
I had both cherry and butterscotch. I don't break it up with the whole, hey, it's a mix. It's a fun mix. It's too risky for me in the dark. I don't end up grabbing a lime. I am excited when I get myself a pineapple, though.
Oh, I love a pineapple.
I saw Vito on the street last night, and I believed he had been eating greens.
What the? No,
cold greens.
I ate cold noodles, no cheese, no sauce, just cold pasta noodles.
Pasta.
Would you say that's a pasta salad?
No, because a pasta salad has mayonnaise.
Just relax
and stuff.
for a second and let the goddamn line lay in before you jump in. Okay?
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Pasta salad.
Yeah. It's all about timing, Vito. Now, Gail, you said that his mom was a little let down with him.
Yes. Vito's mom was disappointed after the big movie trivia loss, but specifically that Vito would lose on a question that really upset her. And there's a text from Vito's mom that says, Vito, how could you fuck up on your namesake and my wedding song? Disappointed, Vito. I can answer anything on Godfather.
We should have brought her in to go up against Chris.
I would crush her at Godfather trivia.
Just Godfather?
Straight Godfather.
My mom would come in and my mom would dominate Chris.
First of all, when you lose a fight and then you bring your mom in to fight for it, that's the exact opposite of Italian.
He's cool.
Yeah.
His mom comes in and fights for him.
I take on all Khaleesi's.
I don't know. Are you that much of a Godfather guy?
I've seen the movie multiple times.
Well, when we say Godfather trivia, we're not just going one. It's 1, 2, and unfortunately 3.
I might have to watch 3 a couple more times beforehand, but 1 and 2, bring it.
This is very interesting. I mean, I really can't imagine Leslie's confidence about Godfather knowledge.
It's false. It's false confidence.
I had a Godfather discovery one night that I'm completely proud of, and I never heard anybody else ever bring this up before. Do you remember when Sonny goes over to Staten Island and beats up his brother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's there watching.
Mm-hmm.
An extra in that scene, and I actually saw it, saw it, and then hit pause, was the guy that was hanging in the meat locker in Goodfellas.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, you know how he's like a uniquely weird-looking dude?
Yeah.
I am telling you right now, he was an extra in that scene. I've never heard anybody else ever bring that up.
I've got
so
to
that
check
could
it
be
out.
question number 1.
I'm going to take that question.
Oh, I wish I wouldn't have said it.
No, we should still use it. Hope Leslie isn't hearing this.
She listens every day, so she will.
I think my reflexes are faster.
Doubt it.
Vito, today's not the day for you to be strong. Today for you is to mourn the loss. You need a couple days of licking your wounds before you go acting like you're the tough guy of the show. You let everybody down yesterday.
Especially Leslie.
Yeah, not to mention...
That broke my heart.
She banks 4 years of movie school for you. I believe he went to AMC Academy. And that's very difficult to get into except for matinees.
Now, I like that she said, how could you fuck up? But the part that really got me was disappointed, Vito.
We're all disappointed.
Just disappointed.
Yeah.
And now you're going to Pasta Lovers for a 4-cheese pasta for lunch instead of nice sweet greens.
We should have made a pasta and a cream sauce. I don't like this naked pasta shit.
You know what? That's a punishment enough, though, isn't it? Because if you're eating naked pasta, you're just sitting there thinking about sauces.
I know.
I bet he threw a pat of butter on there and tried to give it a little swirl. Monday nights, Unmasked, Judah Friedlander at the stand. Go to the iBang. Go to the iBang to get tickets for this. It's going to be fabulous. Eric, what's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. That same actor that you're talking about that got beat up in Staten Island, from that scene, rather, he was in Godfather 2. He was in the Genco office. He was like a kid. And he was the kid that kind of helped the guy open the door after he was fumbling with the door.
There's only so many Italian gangster things. By the way, Gail and I saw one last night, sitting there relaxing, enjoying the Lisa Lampanelli show. The one and only Danny Aiello.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Danny Aiello.
Very exciting.
Along with his best friend that he brought in here, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He had his own kind of milkshake that he hangs out with. Shit, what's going on? It was a night of too many stars. It really was.
It was. And it was a lot of fun. I'm very happy for Lisa. And that theater is really cool.
It's very cool.
West Side Theater in a very old church. And it's just got a great look about it.
Be perfect for an Unmasked sometimes.
I know. That's a good idea.
Maybe we should move Judah as soon as possible. What is it, Chris?
The guest coming in mere moments.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God, Chris.
So I said, because I see Greg Charles out there, I go, is Jeff playing Caroline's? And then Chris has to write on the bottom of his thing. And Jeff will be at Caroline's Comedy Club tonight and Saturday. But, of course, he's known for the Goldbergs every Wednesday night, Curb Your Enthusiasm Sunday nights at 10. At Jeff Garland for your first responders. He's a big deal.
He is a big deal. I love Jeff Garland so much.
Well, what's not to love? You know, he's married to Susie Essman, I believe, also in real life. Let's bring in Jeff Garland. Goldbergs every Wednesday night, Curb Your Enthusiasm Sundays at 10, and also the Pix 11 Weatherman from this morning. Or when was that you did?
The weather guy. That was this morning. Yes. I do that so often that I don't even remember.
You don't remember when it happens? You're just the weather guy wherever you go.
Yes.
The yelling, screaming, excited weather guy.
No, I went out and I hugged that. But the weather guy was really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of times the weather, usually it's a weather woman.
Yeah.
Whose body is really not. You just go, are you kidding me? Like gigantic breasts,
right?
Curves, beautiful. And I don't, by the way, maybe one of those was the best weather person at the school. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you go out there, and I do nothing sexual or like inappropriate jokes even with them, but they don't have much of a sense of humor. Right. And they get so thrown. And a couple times they've been really angry, but plenty of them, great sense of humor, But
it is true that that this is their one, they get a couple minutes an hour and they want to get it perfect.
Oh, they do. They don't want you messing up on it. Like, whatever.
But isn't it funny you have to say, I'm never because of the Harvey Weinstein, now everyone has to say.
No, I say that anyhow.
Yeah.
I say that anyhow. By the way, the Harvey Weinstein thing, here's what it does for someone like me. It means that I have to say, things prior to things that I would normally think are innocent.
Yes.
And not anything that's changed. But that's okay, because if it makes somebody feel more relaxed,
right?
Beautiful, And what a horrible piece of shit. And I say that having done a movie or two with them, and he was never nice to me. And by the way, if I ever got word of any of this, I would have loved to have been blacklisted by bringing it public.
Right.
That would have been worth it. You know, I'm sure my family wouldn't have thought so.
You've always had a reputation as the defender of the weak, too. You've that even when we were young.
Yes.
Even when we were young. Yeah, he would be the guy who would be like, if somebody would have been heckled earlier or anything like that, Jeff was on like, this is a great fight for me to take up.
It is, though. I'm always defending people and being forthright and don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I think about, I have friends, I've never seen a Michael Bay movie. And I have friends who've been in Michael Bay movies, and I'm bringing up, and there's no sexual thing going on with Michael Bay for his defense. But I heard that he yells at people.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, however that goes, if I'm in his movie and he screams at me, I've just left.
Yes.
And I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
So enjoy. How anyone would tolerate someone being abusive to them in any manner. Don't ever tolerate it.
Well, here's the thing about Harvey, because I've had him on the show a couple of times, and then he would start texting me after. He was very seductive when he first meets people, He was like, oh, this is great. Maybe, maybe there's something. And, but I had always heard since the 90s that he was a brute with anybody who worked for him. Now, I don't mean sexual.
No, I've heard that, though, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's not something to out, per se.
Yeah.
Except, by the way, anyone who asked me, I would say he's a jerk.
Right.
But, man, if you ever got word of that, I would have been, are you kidding me? And, by the way, it's a very precarious situation when, picture your friends with a woman, and she tells you that Harvey Weinstein approached her inappropriately, and she tells you not to say anything. That's a tough position to be put in, because you're like, no, this has got to be said. You got to talk about this. But on the other hand, it's not my thing. How do I have the right to? It's a weird, tough thing. But I say, get rid of him.
Yes, there you go.
That's your stance on it.
Yeah, get him out of the human race.
Yeah,
send him to Trump's house.
Although he did produce some good movies, I don't know.
But he had nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
because every filmmaker I know, he had notes.
Yeah,
trust me. I know more filmmakers who have told me he's ruined their movie.
Yeah.
Then made it better.
Well, that was remember he used to even be called Harvey Scissorhands because he just wanted to cut, no matter what was happening. So he always had that. Everybody except for Quentin. Quentin, he just let whatever Quentin wants to do because he was like the first guy. He was his Babe Ruth. But everybody else, rough time. Billy Bob, I don't know whether he ever directed another movie after directing one for Harvey because it was such a nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any glasses I could borrow?
I try to keep them all right here. I've got the sunglasses and I got the cheaters. You don't have cheaters though, right?
Cheetahs?
Cheaters. Like you don't have like little reading glasses. You don't need your eyes are perfect.
I'm wearing contact lenses today. Yeah. When I wear my contact lenses, I do need reading glasses. I just don't happen to have. I rarely wear contacts. So when I have my glasses, I'm one of those lucky people where I can't see down the road, so I wear glasses. But in terms of reading, I don't need reading glasses.
That's almost impossible.
And I've been told I'll never need them.
Wow.
Yes.
I've never even heard of that happening before.
Yes. By the way, let me have one good thing. I'm falling apart. I've always fallen apart. Let me have the one. So.
Well, you are doing well, though. I mean, your life is great. Your life is better than you thought it would turn out. Am I wrong about that, career-wise?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I always thought...
Hold on. No.
Yeah.
Tell me what you always thought. Then I'm going to say something.
I thought that you were going to be this obscure, great performer, because that's what you were.
Well, it was weird back then. But what was in my head when we met, when I was 20 fucking years old, was I'm going to be the biggest comedy star on the planet. So to me, I'm a failure. I'm not even kidding. I am not. I mean, I know I'm successful and very successful. But I am nowhere near where I thought I was going to be. I'm honored to be doing what I do. I love comedy, and I'm honored to be a comedian. I truly am. I take great pride in that. But I thought I was going to be a much bigger. And by the way, here's the thing. I'm always working. I think maybe I'll have a Rodney-like career.
Yeah.
I think maybe something bigger will happen for me down the road. I'm not talking about fame. Could give a crap about fame. Just more success in terms of what I do.
Yeah, but you probably couldn't achieve the level of success you have without being the young person who's pushing for something. You are 100%
massive.
Yeah.
Right. You have to. Well, that's always that cliche: aim for the stars.
Yeah.
Can I do another cliche that people say?
Yeah.
Follow your dreams. Don't. And this is my point. In most cases, don't. There are too many people here in New York, in Los Angeles, following their dreams, who are good, and good don't cut it.
Yeah.
You got to be great. So it's much better to do what you're great at. If you're a great accountant, and you're a good singer, and you want to be a singer, be an accountant. And then with the money you make from your successful accounting career, you can buy some recording time and record an album.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, don't follow your dreams unless it's what you're great at. Do what you're great at. And then let your dreams and the other things be things that bring you joy, but do what you're great at. Man, in all sorts, acting, music, comedy. I run into too many people that are at best good. That's like, you shouldn't be here.
Well, when I had
But it's not my place to say, so I don't tell them
It is
go
very hard
home.
because you never know. Because there were certain guys that I saw when I was young who went on and had good careers, and I did not think that would ever happen.
Right.
But I also used to have guys at my club. They would go up on an open mic night, it would lay there, and they would come off and go, "What do you think?" I go, "Dude,
come on, wait. That's the second worst one. That's the second worst one. The worst one are the pros who've been doing it for years, who really don't get to any heights. But whether they kill or whether they suck, they come off thinking they killed.
Yes,
it's a weird thing. It's almost like comedy dysmorphia. Like you don't really know it's like the reverse. It's so crazy. And I've known so many people like this, and I'm like, I have said to people, you just ate it. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you bragging about?
I remember saying to people, do you make your friends laugh? Are you the funny? You know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
I would.
By the way, why are you doing it?
Yeah. Because certain people love comedy so much that they get up there, but I love art. I don't go and try to get a gallery to put up paintings. You know what I mean? Like I know, I'm not on that level, but there's something about people going, I appreciate comedy and I get the nuance, so I'm going to do it.
Is it because
everybody thinks they're funny?
Yeah.
Is it because great comedians make it look so effortless? Is that
great comedians make it look completely effortless?
Yeah.
Like it just happens. And when you're hanging out with your friends, everyone there, like if you ever been around a group of guys, like you're not even part of the group, you're just sort of nearby in a park, in a restaurant, and they're making each other crack up, and there ain't anybody with a funny opinion for miles around.
Yeah.
And I just want to go up to them and go, none of you are funny. Have a good time, but none of you. But of course, I wouldn't do that. Unless they were assholes and saying horrible things.
Then you would come in with a cape on, here to stop everybody.
Yes, that's right. Though I am a person I equate. Look, I'm obsessed. Truly, with the blacklisting era of this country. And I can know somebody and go, all right, I can be friendly with them, but I can't be friends with them because I know they'd name names. Like I base my friendships on whether or not they name names. And this Harvey Weinstein thing now is sort of like a blacklisting thing in terms of people say to people, why didn't you say anything? I was afraid of being blacklisted. Well, sometimes that's the choice you have to take.
Right.
Because it's also like in any Law and Order episode, Sheila, you tell us who attacked you because there's going to be other women that are attacked. It's even in those cliche things.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not blaming I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just thinking in general that when something happens that's wrong, you gotta stand up. You gotta. Even if you don't want to, you gotta. That's just my thing. Look, I can tell you right now, this is my very strong theory about life. People people say, how are you? You're so fearless. Like I get told with the way I do comedy, not having an act or who I am as a person, I've been called fearless. And I say to those people, you're nuts. I'm as scared as anyone else. But I find that successful people don't let fear paralyze them. That's the difference, I think, between successful and unsuccessful people. Is successful people say to the fear, either, please don't hurt me, I'm going to do this, or get the fuck out of my way. Yeah. I'm going to do this. I feel like you got to do what's right. And you got to live with yourself if you don't.
Gail, before you were born, this was Jeff's act. He would come in.
Well, now this is, I know what you're going to tell her. But remember, I was 20 years old. But nonetheless, go ahead.
He would come in as this nerd character, right?
Dick Magenta.
Dick Magenta.
That was his name.
At first,
Who talk like this. My name was Dick Magenta. And I'm here. I was tending to. Yeah. It was the most absurd thing.
Yeah.
Here's what you're going to laugh now because you don't remember this, and then we'll come to
how you were brought up.
Yeah, do you remember?
I know there were goats involved.
Yes,
right?
Yes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I was introduced as, would you please welcome Trixie Delight and her magic billy goats. Okay? Wait. And then there'd be a delay, and then you'd hear me going, oh dear, oh dear. And then I'd go up and go, Miss Trixie can't make it tonight. Okay. You can continue if you want. I'll help you.
Now,
it was absurd.
He's doing an act, and this part went on for, 15, 20 minutes of dying and getting heckled and stuff.
Purposely.
And
by the way, he was a science fan.
Yeah.
And he'd have people ask him science questions.
And there would be, if someone heckled him, there would be, no, he would not come back. He'd be like, I get
scared.
Scared. Yeah. And so that would build up bullies in the room, right? They would get more and more aggressive.
Oh my God,
and
aggressive.
Really, really strange, right? And then I think that you said that you had drank a potion earlier in the day.
Yeah, I drank a potion.
Yeah.
And it was suddenly, I feel I had the potion earlier, and I feel it's starting to kick in. Oh, I feel so different.
Yeah. And then some music would come on.
It was Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
And it would start to transform into Mr. Funny.
Mr. Fun. I would rip my clothes off, the outer science clothes, and underneath I'd be Mr. Fun, which was surf shorts, a bright shirt, new wave glasses.
Yes.
And
then he would go back to everybody who fucked with him. And he was so aggressive, and not just, he was physically standing. Sometimes he'd hop off the stage, physically stand up.
I'm a big guy, it's weird. But all my jokes, by the way, were from that book, 100 Dirty Jokes, whatever those, one of those books that had all those one-liners, and I would just memorize them and do them rapid fire and attack hecklers.
It was just the most bizarre, hilarious thing I'd ever seen in my life.
But that's nice to say it was most bizarre. It also, many a night, ate it. The whole thing.
It was up to,
and Mr. Fun did not recover.
Yeah.
I remember you had a dude who I ended up meeting years later because he owned a comedy club. He was from Milwaukee.
Right, the guy that had the club that was
some club. But I ended up working with him, and I reminded him of it, and he couldn't believe I was the same person.
Right.
But he came down to meet with you to partner up on a club or something. I don't know. You'd know.
Yeah.
And
saw this act.
He saw this act, but he didn't see the act on a good night.
Yeah.
He saw me eat it. It was in the ice cream parlor.
Yeah.
And he saw me fucking eat it. A death worth, you have no idea.
It was unbelievable still.
And I had to have killed whatever business
plan
was
gone.
You were working on.
It was gone.
I had to go to another land. Oh my God. I think about that. Because it was a real death. It was horrible. I remember I'd been doing comedy 6 months at the time. And the reason I got your gig
was the movie.
I was in Spring Break.
Yeah, you were Gut.
I was Gut in Spring Break. So here I am, this new kid, but with a credit. And there's a little club in Clearwater. Oh, let's get the guy from the movie.
Yeah. Here's the two. This is, we opened, and we're all kids, right? Kids. And we convinced this guy, bring us into it. The first 2 weeks, we have Jeff Garland is the first act. Second week is Brian Regan and John Manfilati.
Right.
So
who started with me.
Yeah.
We all worked together in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, we got all the Lauderdale guys to come over, and those guys were, all their careers are fantastic right now. But that was crazy.
amazing.
Funny.
Yeah.
And then I became a friend of the club.
Yes.
Which is like, came and hung with you guys and played
Well,
there.
that's first time Jeff called. He's like, "You've never seen anything like me in your life." There's no act. There was no act like me.
That's so not like me to talk that way.
Right.
Because, especially now, I am all about confidence and humbleness.
Right.
And ego, to me, does nothing. That young man at 20 years old, full of nothing but bravado and ego.
And now when you direct films, you give great character actors great things to do.
Right.
And, it's really interesting to see where you've taken that spot that you have.
You either become a man or you don't.
Right.
I'm lucky enough that I became a man and I didn't make too many people hate me in my 20s. But by the way, when I was that age, and this was a big thing for me, if you weren't funny, get the fuck away from me.
Right.
For years, man, even when I sort of developed into a better person, I still resented people who were performing on the same bill as me or just in comedy in general. And then I would say, who the fuck told you to do this? I was an asshole that way.
Well,
if you weren't funny, it's like, a group of musicians and one guy can't play. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Why? And by the way, those people are usually the worst people, too.
Well, the Lauderdale guys, that was such a great group. And then you guys always had to play underneath the New York guys who would come down and play that club.
We would either be the MC for 3 real headliners.
Yeah.
Like I remember my first headliner was Dom Herrera,
Great.
Or we went on truly after the main show and half the audience had left and they'd trickle out during our time going up.
Yeah. And Regan was cooking burgers. He was cooking burgers and then jumping on stage. Yeah.
I also was. Until I got fired from cooking burgers. Joe Mullen owned it. No more cooking, Garland. Brian was cooking burgers.
Yeah.
Brian Regan, I can say, has made me many a burger. Now that I think about it. It wasn't a big deal. I'd be in the kitchen talking to him. I go, put one on for me. It was normal, but that's really funny. Yeah, the comics cooked the burgers. We didn't work the door.
Right.
We cooked the burgers. That's right. Holy shit. I forgot.
Isn't that insane when you think about it?
It's really funny.
You got this, what's going to become, all-stars.
Well, by the way, Brian Regan, is there a better stand-up?
No, there isn't.
There really isn't.
There isn't.
I mean, he's the best stand-up there
The purest that we have. The purest.
I mean, God. I mean, wow.
Dude, and he was then, too. I mean, he had 15 minutes. He was unbelievable.
No, the first time I ever saw him, which was the week before I did stand-up. It was my week before my 20th birthday. I'm 19. And the legal age, by the way, at that time in Florida was 18 for 5 minutes. Then they switched it back. But anyhow, I go see, and Brian's the first guy to go on after the out-of-town guys. And all I'm thinking, my friends and I are laughing so hard, who is this guy? Who is this guy?
And Brian wasn't clean then, or he was? His style was different?
He said he had 3. He dropped the F-bomb 3 times so he could be in the club. He said he did it in the early bit. He ended with something. He put it in the middle. But
I don't even remember him swearing.
Me neither.
Right, it was not.
But
he's the one who follows that, because there is that truly clean wins every time.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, there's artistry beyond that, Richard Pryor, what have you. But if you can be, like, I'm talking about not just funny, but grabbing for your gut funny. Like, Brian Regan makes me sometimes lean over and grab my stomach. How does he do that? He's a miracle.
Yeah, he is. And I remember, like, he had, 15 minutes. And 14 minutes of it was genius and was going to end up, on a special in the future. I mean, it was just like that from the beginning.
Are on his first album 15 years later.
Yeah, and
it's
they were
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
but like I said, everybody is a kid. And then he also was always such a humble guy. He was like, I don't know. I'm just happy to be working.
I was 20. He was 24.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking he was so old.
Yes.
Isn't that funny? That's so funny.
Jeff Garland, always great to see you, my friend.
Ron,
happy
you and
for
your
you.
daughter
Yeah.
are a big bowl of wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, your daughter has a great laugh. You're so beautiful. You're just lovely.
Goldberg's Wednesday nights and Curb Sunday nights.
Yes.
Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you.
And we'll
Did
see.
you mention him at Caroline's?
You are at Caroline's. We've said that coming in, but
Okay.
you got to go see his
by the
stand-up.
way, because your listeners are people who would go to Caroline.
Yes, they
That's
are
why
the
it's important to
Carolines.
mention it here.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, maybe I'll mention it on that show. No, you're the guy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, my
Thank
friend.
you, pal. I'll
See you
talk to you
next time. How crazy is he,
Oh
right?
my God, that was so fun. That was so fun.
Yeah, can you imagine being a kid, being with him?
No,
And
I really can't. That was
and-
awesome.
I had been doing it for like a couple months before I got involved in this club.
Those characters are just like Mr. Fun.
I forgot that my partner, the food and beverage partner, had brought this guy in who was going to open up another club based on what we were doing. And I'm going to tell you the truth, we were doing nothing. You know what I mean? There was no reason to think this should expand
These
into
kids
another
have-
club because we would bring in one, sometimes two acts, and it was just local guys that had been doing it for months. But because it was Florida,
Right.
there wasn't a lot else
So
to
you
choose.
you were basically just able to manage the club. Like that's what you were doing first, and then that's how.
No. I was doing stand up, and then I said, "Well, how's this thing?" You know, and I'm like literally doing open mic stand up, and I'm like, "Well, this other club, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know why am I coming over here asking these guys for 5 months? What are they doing?" So we would go to other clubs that were dead, and say we could turn this into a comedy club.
I got
We put up a sign that says comedy, and there's going to be a line here. And I remember even sending fucking shit out to different clubs and just acting like I was somebody using my home number. And I've been doing this months. There's no reason for me to be, like when I meet these kids in New York and they're like, I've been doing it 9 months and I'm just starting to be able to work for these, sets. That was like, forget 9 years in, I was burnt out down there, because we just immediately start to say, we know how to do this. And we would steal a headliner from somewhere and then just use locals. So when I say steal a headliner, if some headliner was in Florida, we would say, we have an extra night for you. You know what I mean?
Right. That makes sense.
We got fucking Jay Leno that way.
Wow.
We got Jay Leno in a little fucking club.
And
in
at
a
that
mall.
point, he had serious buzz already, right?
He was the hottest fucking comedian, stand-up comedian of the 80s. And that's true. I mean, I don't even think it was close. I think anybody would have said that at the time. And he was like Letterman's best pal. But you would just grab these guys and package a show together. And the Lauderdale guys were fucking great. They were, a little ahead of everybody else. And plus, they had that club that was doing that was connected with the New York club on the Upper East Side, the one that Murphy started at.
Comic strip?
Yeah, the comic strip in Lauderdale used to just sell the fuck out all the time. And well, Jackie will tell you about it when he comes in because he was a main guy there.
Yeah.
And Jackie was the guy who brought Dangerfield with him. Jackie was writing jokes for him. And when Jackie went to Lauderdale, his first time, he just brought Dangerfield by. Mitchell Walters was also a big act there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And all those guys, you would be in like the 80s if you were a comedian and you were young. It was like being in a rock and roll band. You know what I mean? All the girls would like you and shit. So all the New York guys would go down to Lauderdale during spring break and shit and just had this fucking hedonist great life. And then we would also tie in these things that we were doing with these wet t-shirt parties, these fucking naughty nighty, you think of, and you would MC those. And then I would MC like dirty match game and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was ridiculously fun. It was a really, really fun time. Craziness, just fucking pure craziness. And that's why it's weird to see like comedy being so strong again. You know what I mean? Because it was like that in the 80s. I'm not even kidding you. We would put up a sign that said comedy and we would sell the fucking joint out. just because they're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, there's comedy.
Just the word
But
comedy.
they're just we're lying to them that we're comedy. You know what I mean? We're not. We just say comics that was seen on the Tonight Show and HBO, just pure lies. But that do-it-yourself thing is the way to go, because everyone thinks that there's some exciting mystery, that there's something to learn. You know what I mean? There isn't. You just go in there and just start fucking doing it.
Or wasting time waiting for other people to let you in the door, too.
Yeah,
You could
because you're
spend a lot
treating
of time.
you treat that person like, if you go to a club and they want you, then that's great. But if they're like, well, it's going to take you years, you're like, well, what else is there to do? You know, even if you don't go directly against them, you can still.
Yeah.
What's the worst night of the week for a club? Why wouldn't they say, oh, we already have a fucking PA, we have a light. Yeah, come in and do this shit here.
Right.
Now, later, everybody are going to remember some of those as the worst gigs ever. But, you know, that's it. That's how you get in. The worst gigs ever are the ones everybody remembers. Like, look how he's screaming, remember the night that he died so fucking bad. Isn't it also funny that a guy who he's on 2 sitcoms right now, he directs independent film, and says, no, I did not get what I wanted to get. I know who he wanted to be. He wanted to be Eddie Murphy, but there's only one. And he was in a movie with Eddie Murphy. What the fuck, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's funny as shit. All right. So later, his TV wife is stopping in here, Susie Essman, who everybody loves.
I love her, and I'm so excited to meet her.
I'm very excited that Vito's mom might be taking on Chris in Godfather Trivia.
I think that you feel really confident that you could take her on.
Yeah, on straight Godfather trivia, Godfather 1 and 2, and maybe 3. Yeah,
What do you mean
I feel
by straight?
confident.
Yeah.
I feel confident.
By the way, the way I feel about Garland then, like how does this happen? Well, you know, why and how is he doing that?
Mm-hmm.
That's also how I feel about Judah now.
Right.
I never walk out of the room when Judah's on stage. It's so fucking funny to me. It's so crazy. And he captures a lot of that in this documentary, which I'm dying to know. Did he really film it on those little cameras? Because I don't know that for sure. I can't believe it if he did.
And he was just coming in just with like little
tiny cameras like anybody would buy.
right.
I was going to say from B&H, but I don't know what everybody has around the country. But, you know, like a little video camera. Like this big. Just a tiny one. By the way, I saw a GoPro last night that looked like it was big as a quarter.
What?
Yeah, it was so tiny.
A guy had it in Times Square. We had to walk back through Times Square.
He had it like a little teeny thing, but also on a selfie stick. But this thing was like so teeny.
Remember how you don't see selfie sticks, and like a couple years ago, that's all you saw?
Yeah.
You used to use one all the time.
Yeah, but then now that's like that. I guess that was a fad. I mean,
I guess so.
Yeah.
because I thought they were here to stay. Because
Well, here's the
everyone
thing,
had
though. You don't have enough time to do that.
They were like a fidget spinner because all the guys who were selling fidget spinners now were selling selfie sticks, and it's all the
that's
same guys
true.
all around Times Square.
Here's the thing. For it to catch on, it's too cumbersome to be just like, I just keep a selfie stick on me in case there's going to be a selfie moment that needs to happen.
But but if you like, I don't want to say podcast, but it's got to be some word like that. It's a much better shot than holding the thing up to your face.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like when Chris used to do it, and he would have it up. It looked really funny to watch that on Periscope. Like I used to crack up. And then I would be watching on Periscope, walking to work, and I would see him walking down 6th Avenue, and he looked like a total moron.
He looked insane.
So stupid.
But here's the thing about Chris, and it's very weird, because you're one of the shyest people I've ever met in my life.
I give you, very
You're
shy.
you're not good one-on-one, but as the nut in a crowd, you're very comfortable. Oh, yeah. Like, you would be wearing this stupid hat, and he had the Viking hat on, and he's walking down the thing, and I would see people staring at him.
Yeah, how could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not stare at
But
them?
if you had to stop and talk to any of those people one-on-one, you couldn't.
Uncomfortable in a weird moments, no matter what. But yeah, when I'm just in the crowd and they're just looking at me, I have no problem. That's right. Yeah, I am wearing a fucking hat.
But why do you think that is?
I have no idea. It's really strange. I was jumping in people's pictures.
Yeah,
just
you were
fucking
crazy.
yelling at
doing that.
crowds.
Now you're back into that. You're doing it on Instagram, but
Instagram
for the
Live.
ball games. That's,
Yeah, for the ball games, and I think maybe I'll go to lunch sometime.
Is
with
that
Vito
tonight?
Just to show. That is tonight. Yes, game 6. It's in
What time's the
Houston.
game?
8:08 is when it starts.
I'll be at the fucking stand. This will get to you too. Like the other night, I'm at the stand and I'm watching on my phone when the fucking Yanks win that game. I go on stage and I'm like, Yanks the place goes crazy. I go, how are any of you Yankees fans? This is the fucking playoffs, and you're sitting in a fucking cellar watching
You're like,
the stand.
I'm at work.
Yeah, yeah, I have to. I have to be here. But isn't that funny? That those people would start applauding. This always gets to me about that. Things start to take on a pep rally feel in a city when you're in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and you're like, why aren't we like this every Sunday?
It's just not.
The biggest sign of it is that the crazy bleachers over by fucking 30 Rock.
A place where there are no Yankee fans because it's all for tourists.
Yeah, there was when I was out there at Grammon live. There was just one real Yankee fan, some like Puerto Rican dude, just going nuts, just losing his shit. But everyone else was like tourists, and they just like using the bleachers, like, oh man, tired walking around a lot. I'm gonna take a fucking seat.
It's not what those are for.
Yeah, they're for fans, lady. Beat it.
Man, we saw a night tour yesterday
Yeah,
when we were
did.
coming.
We were walking through we were walking through Times Square over to this subway place here, and we were watching the tour go around it, and they were getting no information at all.
Tell him what he said about
He's like, We'll
30
be
Rock.
ending over here. You see this building? That's 30 Rock. We'll be ending there. He goes, now, if you look at the logo at the top, that came from a peacock. Those are the peacock feathers. And I'm like, who doesn't know the NBC logo?
And he was really like, in case you were always wondering, what does the logo mean? It's actually a peacock. It comes from a peacock.
And I'm like, that's one of
what?
the most famous fucking logos in the world.
Like, what did you?
And yes.
And he had to have what, 30, 40?
30, 40 people. I think you're probably paying like $30. I mean, he's fucking again, you want to talk about a business for yourself? Why can't you just figure out wherever you live? Could you tell somebody about that? You'd make an extra fucking grand a fucking month walking around with him. I would be the greatest fucking tour guide of all time. And I hear these people lying about shit.
Yeah.
I hear them lying. I'd be able to tell you where fucking Jackie Gleason drank when I'm walking down the street. You're going to know everything. Do you know how many places people walk by in this city that are famous movie scenes or where fucking classic albums were done?
Yeah.
There's not even a sign that said this used to be Capitol. It's crazy to me. I'm going to fucking start one of these businesses.
You should do comedy tours, but it's like regular history of New York, but it's just comedians do it. Young comedians.
It's actually a fucking great idea.
It's not
think
bad.
Tim Dillon does a bus tour. He's doing one soon.
Yeah.
And it's just him yelling out of the bus at people and shit, but it's very funny. He'll yell at people in the street.
Now, if you were visiting New York, wouldn't you rather say, oh, this person's going to tell me the history, but they're going to be hilarious when they do it?
Yeah, it would be better. Did you ever see that movie, Chris, about the tour guide in New York?
It's like the circus.
It's not the circus. The circus is...
Wait, yeah, what am I talking about? But no, I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, why would he call it the circus?
I don't know.
But it's called the something. He's right about that.
The cruise?
The Cruise is the name of it.
Yeah.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen
How
it.
do you
so
know the
good.
title?
Because the director came in for...
Oh, yeah, the director is the guy who did Moneyball.
Yeah.
And...
Capote?
Capote, yeah. I like when people know the answer, but they say it in a question. Capote? You got it.
Who is Capote?
By the way, I'm being told that Goldberg's is also available in syndication.
Nice.
Never saw him.
I haven't either.
It's a family show.
Yeah. But
It's a family show.
You know, I think about the cruise all the time because of there's like a moment that he's talking about the grid system. And anytime I think of like the grid system in New York, I think about him. Because he's just like, I don't like the grid system. And he was like, and there was this woman and she was saying, why do you, who doesn't like the grid system? He's like, I just don't.
Let me tell you, if you weren't in a grid system in New York, you'd never find your way around.
I know.
It'd be like fucking Queens. That's why people don't want to go to Queens. They can't figure out where the fuck they are.
Queens is maybe some of the dumbest street naming I've ever seen in my life.
Especially in my neighborhood in Queens, in Astoria, Long Island City, there's 35th Road next to 35th Street, next to 35th Avenue, and that's not an exaggeration. It's Rhodes Avenue. It makes no sense.
If I'm
and then you jump a number, like
and
there's
21st Street goes from, you cross the street, then it's 14th Street.
What the fuck is that? And then you will say, yeah. So now
there's
think
21st Street, 21st Avenue. It's just fucking madness.
Yeah. No. Think about this. If somebody told you, oh, I'm on like 32nd Street, and then you see 32nd Avenue or 32nd Road first, you would just turn because you see. Why would anyone put that next to it? And that's why you always get fucking lost in Queens.
Dude, the last time I dropped you off coming back from my folks, so I dropped her off in Brooklyn, and then I'm coming across, and they're like, take the fucking tunnel, down by the, and I'm like, but why don't they just drive up to the fucking bridge?
Yeah.
And, 59th Street Bridge, I'll make a left there. I start to go up where I see the city. I don't know how come I couldn't get to the fucking 59th Street Bridge. I start to see the city getting further and further.
Yeah.
I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'll get off here. And then I came off that fucking road and started driving through the 1970s. And I'm like, and I'm picking up the phone and I'm like, can you, go on the thing? Cause I didn't have a thing with me. Figure out where I am. There was no. I was just like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drive west as far as I can, no matter how hairy it gets.
I know exactly where you were.
Yeah.
And that's where, I remember King of New York. When,
yes.
I
was in King in New York.
Because that's the scene where they where like that house gets raided towards the middle of the film, and then Lawrence Fishburne gets stabbed and killed underneath the Queensboro Bridge. That's where you were.
That's where, when I was happy to get to that point. Like I was lucky when I got there. But I went through all kinds of weird, 1 minute I'm in Puerto Rico, next I'm in Korea, then I'm in fucking Ethiopia for a second. Wherever I was going, like every block, it just seemed like it totally changed. But one thing they had in common, all the people were hanging outside. And all the people could have, ran in front of the car or whatever. Sure. There's no fast driving. There's people playing drums on trash can lids. It was fucking insane.
It's a strange neighborhood right by the bridge.
And when I'm lost like that and I'll call somebody on the phone, I will blame who's ever on the phone for it.
You did this to me.
What's Vito looking for? Oh, is he looking for her?
I believe so.
Wait, we're trusting Vito now?
No, I don't know where Vito went.
No, I just saw him. But we're trusting him to talk with the guests?
No, he's not. He's not going to the guest, no.
Okay.
Well, he's better not be dropping mud 5 minutes before our guest comes in.
I don't think so.
Do you want to break first, Chris? Or
I say we break first, yeah.
All right. We're waiting for Susie Essman. Later on, Jackie the Joke Man is going to be here. And I believe he's also doing the AA show later today. So that's always funny to see Jackie and Artie together because they compare notes. It's always funny. Break back, Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. Susie Essman's in the studio.
Yes.
Curb Your Enthusiasm airs Sundays at 10 p.m. on HBO. It's at HBO on Twitter and hashtag Curb Your Enthusiasm.
You just missed your TV husband was just here.
I saw him in the lobby.
Oh, did you?
Which was so weird because it's like, what are the odds of running into him?
Yeah.
He lives in L.A., I live in New York.
You keep the New York thing, too, with all the stuff that
I've never moved there, Ron.
Yeah.
In all these years, I've never moved there.
You never had an interest to move there?
No, I don't want to. I live here. I live in New York, the greatest city in the world. What do I want to go there for? There was like the weather. Fuck the weather. And when you're there, it's like this continual sunshine.
Right.
This nonstop sunshine. It's oppressive.
I will say this. Having seasons in your life is good for you. I've lived in Florida before where you don't have seasons.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? tomorrow's Christmas? You're always thrown off.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if here at the seasons are so important, everybody, all the stores changes, everybody on the street feels differently. So you get like almost like 4 smaller years in each year.
You know how much fun it's been to be at Yankee games this time of year?
Yes.
When you have a sweatshirt, you got your Yankee sweatshirt on and a scarf and you're all bundled up. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's an exciting thing to feel. But the Dodgers, it feels exactly the same for them. If this becomes Yankees, Dodgers... Yeah. And I don't know whether it will, but you can't beat that.
No.
The Yankees and the Dodgers.
2 New York teams.
Yes. There's still people in Brooklyn not over it. Not over losing the Dodgers.
Nor should they be. What kind of behavior is that?
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It seems really cruel.
I mean, I understand. I've read the whole. I've seen shows about it. Understand and why they did it. But to me, this thing about teams moving cities, that's not what the nature of it should be.
Right. It's supposed to belong to the city.
To the city, exactly.
Yes.
Not to the owner.
Yeah,
but I think this is where we get in trouble with that because we forget that this is not, it's not about democracy. It's about capitalism.
Right. But to me, a sports team is the same as a museum in the city. You're not supposed to go, how much money can we make off the Met? You know what I mean?
Right.
You do the best.
It's like a park.
You're there to support the city. You shouldn't think.
I think Central Park should move to Milwaukee.
I'm always amazed when people come to the city and want to go right to Central Park. I go, that looks where you're from.
Came from. But it is an amazing place, Central Park.
It's stunning when you think about it. It's very, and they just opened up another trail right off Central Park South where you don't even know where you are.
Yeah.
You cannot believe you're in New York City.
Areas of Central Park that, there's waterfall, there's things that like in nooks and crannies that people don't even know. And I don't think New York would be New York. Manhattan wouldn't be Manhattan without Central Park.
No, you need that place to blow off steam too. Plus, the number one uninterrupted gay hookup in the history of New York. The Rambles. Mm-hmm. And
look how we both knew that immediately.
Yes, immediately. In the Civil War, guys would go there to cruise, right? And they still do it. They still go out. Now, you would think of all the ways to meet, Tinder and everything, and
still the Rambles.
There's also nothing more like surreal and beautiful than like when you're in the middle of the meadow, and then the way it just looks like giants around you. It's
phenomenal.
Wild looking.
It's phenomenal.
I still am not used to that.
Yeah, it's still cool one of the most beautiful places to be. And the fact that they think they purposely made this like this is going to look like nature. Before that, a park would look like what mazes and stuff like that in England.
Right. And it was all man-made.
Yes.
Frederick Law Olmsted designed the whole park.
There's not one part of it that hasn't been moved and pushed there and designed, and yet you never feel that.
He was good.
Yeah, he was good. He did a good job. And every once in a while, people go, you know what? We can make a lot of money if we just cut the park off by 1 block. And there are people who will fight
real estate.
Yeah.
I'll bet you that's something that has gone through the mind of the man that shall not be named.
Yes, many times.
Yes.
Many, many times he thought to himself, oh, man, I could put some really great buildings in here. So that's an everyday thing for you?
What?
Trump, do you pay attention every day to whatever the latest news?
It's interesting. I have a rule with my husband now. The news is not allowed to be on at night before I go to sleep because I have nightmares. I can't see the face or hear the voice. And I understand now why there's always sitcom reruns at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
You know? But pretty much every day. I mean, it's gotten to the point where there's so much redundancy at this point that you don't even have to pay attention to know what's going on.
Yeah, you get it. You just understand, like, I know.
Again with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Again with this lie. The lies are what really kill me. It's just lie after lie after lie.
But that's how he was before he got there. You know what I mean? He always said he had the biggest
converted. Yes. Preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But I'll say this though, Ron. As bad as I thought it was going to be, it's even worse than I could have even imagined. Yeah. I knew that all this talk that he was, he'll become presidential one. Oh, he's not really going to do that one. I knew that was bullshit. I knew he was going to be a total fucking asshole once he was elected. But it's even worse than I could have even conceived of the behavior. I couldn't even conceive of the behavior the day after the inauguration, arguing over the crowd size. I couldn't even think that way.
There's actually been more of that kind of stuff than anything else. He said, she said, did he do this?
Ridiculousness. Just pure, complete ridiculousness.
But I think what's also interesting about him is that he seems to hurt his friends worse than his enemies even. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
if you look at all the people who came in with him, they've just been beaten up and taken heat for things.
I was thinking when I was at the Yankee game the other night, I didn't see Rudy there. Remember, he used to be such a huge presence at the Yankee games. He was at every game, and we don't see or hear anything.
We were just talking about that where has he been for a little bit?
There are rumors that maybe Mueller, because I think Mueller talked to him early on, and maybe he flipped, and maybe he's laying low. No one knows, though. But yes, a guy who had such a high profile and after 9/11 was so well respected, that's all gone.
Mm-hmm. And everything about it is gone. For us New Yorkers on 9/10, we all thought he was an asshole.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He was reviled and hated and disliked by New Yorkers. 9/11, somehow that changed for some people. Not me.
9/11, he did he acted like a guy who was like, okay, here's how the trash is. And like, he never made a great speech or anything.
Right.
But he goes, okay, this is something like that. And he would go on every day. And it was really good work, what he did there. Okay, we've got this and this and this. But then once once it was over and he kind of went off into how can I make as much money off 9/11 as I possibly could, and
then it became exploited.
Yeah, not paying attention.
But
to
I
the people
thought of that at the
cancer.
game the other night. Where was he?
He was always at the games. But you are right. There is something about, and even if you're not a Yankees fan at all, the Yankees belong somewhere in the playoff because that's the excitement thing. You're either cheering for the Yankees or you're cheering against the Yankees. When you're a kid in the backyard throwing the ball up and hitting it, you're either winning the World Series for the Yankees or you're beating the Yankees in your mind.
Who's your team?
Mine's the Phillies. I grew up
you grew up,
Phillies
that's right.
fan.
Yeah.
And that's the fantasy you had. And again, we'll get to the World Series and we'll beat the Yankees. I don't know if any other sport has that, where you sit around and think about somebody in the other league. Cowboys, I guess, but they're not good. They're not good enough. Yeah, no matter who you're talking about.
They had a couple of years. It wasn't the dynasty.
No one's come near the number of championships that the
Yankees have. Yeah. And I grew up. I mean, one of the reasons I love going to the game because right across the street from Gate 4 is my grandmother's apartment.
Is that right?
Yeah, on Jerome Avenue and 161st Street, and that was I spent my entire childhood there, sitting on the fire escape, looking at the stadium, because actually it used to be the park was across the street from her, but you could sit on her fire escape and look at the stadium, and they never took me to a fucking game because I was a girl.
Yeah. But you could hear the cheers. You could hear everything.
It would be on TV. You could hear the roar, at a home run or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so it's in my blood. It's just in my blood.
Well, there's no other sport that has the kind of tension that you have of a baseball game. In between pitches, people are just pulling their hair out. It's so tense.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic. And then the
baseball.
Explosion of when something happens.
And I know that's like people complain about the pacing sometimes, people who aren't baseball fans, but yeah, you can't really have that level of excitement.
I like also a game that's not on the clock.
Yes.
Baseball, tennis, I love. Yeah. I love golf, by the way. I love watching golf.
Well, these are all pretty sports, and it is a park. It's a baseball park. It's not a stadium. It's not about action. Most games throughout the year, you're just there to relax for the day. And if you're losing, you're like, we got 100 games to go.
Yeah, we got a hot dog. We're having a hot dog.
We're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a pastime.
Yeah. So
nonviolent, by the way.
Nonviolent.
I can't really watch football anymore. I have a hard time.
Yeah.
I just have I used to love football, and I have a hard time watching it now.
It is always scary in a football game when someone goes down and you don't know whether they're moving. You're like, and that's what eventually happened with boxing. That you ended up seeing guys that, I see a lot of guys that I loved for years come through here now. They're older guys. When I say older, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
And really in bad shape, from the sport.
Wow, look at the greatest ever. What happened to him?
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, that is sad, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Especially with a mind like that.
Yes.
And a verbal ability that he had was so unique and incredible.
When you were a kid, Muhammad Ali was on, right? No one there was nobody like him at all. Nobody knew where he was going. He would be funny and he would be outrageous. And then like later people would go, that thing that he said was actually pretty smart. He was almost like Pryor that way.
Yeah.
You still loving stand up?
I haven't been doing that much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit here, but no, I haven't really been doing it that much.
Why? What took you away?
I don't care if they like me anymore.
Yes.
Mental health took me away. That I just reached the point, and you could still do it, creatively if it's really interesting to you. But I kind of feel like I said what I needed to say in that form. I'll still do it for money. I'm not stupid,
Right.
But I said what I needed to say creatively in that form. And that doesn't mean that a year from now, I'm not going to feel like, I'm dying to get on stage and talk about X, Y, Z. But I just don't feel that right now.
But it's always right there if you need it. So it is always funny to me that people who have done it can walk back into it, because it might, it's like going to a gym where you got to work it back up a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
Well, because there's technique and skill that I have.
Right.
I've been doing it for 34 years, so I know what and I can't imagine that leaving me. The filing cabinet in my head might leave. The access, when you're in shape, you have the access to the file so quickly in your head. But you just build it that can be built back up.
But that is true that I don't think people know that it's more of a reaction than a thought, that it comes so fast sometimes when you're on stage that it couldn't possibly be a thought, the way a thought,
right.
The way we think of a thought,
Every now and then it is.
Yeah.
And that's when, God has just sent you a line.
Right.
That's just out of nowhere, And every now and then you have those moments that are just like you come off stage and you're just like, wow, I have no idea what just happened.
Yes.
And none.
You literally think to yourself, I couldn't think of that.
Yeah.
If I had a week, I couldn't have come up with that.
But the way that I write is on stage.
Yeah.
So for me, the way that I always wrote stand up was to have a premise. And then because I'm in that hysteria that I have to come up with a punchline, the gun is to my head, my brain worked that it came up with it.
Yes.
It never worked that I was sitting down slowly thinking about it and ruminating over it and I got the line. It always had to be in the scariest moment possible, that if I don't come up with a line, I'm going to die up here. And that's how it worked for me.
You never wrote sitting down with a pad, just attempting.
No.
It was always a thought, and then you worked it more and more on stage.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's the opposite how Jerry Seinfeld works, for example.
Right.
No, I never worked that way. It didn't work for me.
But could you imagine if, like, Paul Simon's like, I got a little bit of a song and I'm going to play it for you right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's like, I got a line or two and I'll hum some. And then the next night he would have a little more. We would never understand that. But that, to me, what you're talking about is the way the best stand-ups have always worked. It's painful sometimes.
It's painful, and it's very anxiety provoking, and it creates a lot of stage fright because I go up there and I have, maybe the line's not going to come to me, and sometimes it doesn't. But I've tried. It's the only way that I know how to work. I've tried it.
Do you think that comics who work like that are more in tune to kind of finding their own voice, because you can only be your organic self in the moment. If you sit down and overthink it, you could be writing in someone else's voice.
I don't know if that's true, Gail. It's Gail, right?
Yeah.
It's true. I said it, and then I'm like, I just say it, and you're like, was that the name? I think this is so sweet, though, you two working together. It's just
the best
so
thing
lovely.
ever happened to me.
It's just so lovely.
It's the best thing.
Because it's just a different process. I don't want to say that somebody who sits down and really writes their material, it's not really their voice. Mm-hmm. It's still their voice. It's just a different process. But what working the way that I work helps me with is it makes Curb a piece of cake.
Right.
Because I'm so used to improvising. I'm so used to, and when you're improvising, the most important thing is listening.
Yes, you're staying in that moment.
It's like what you do.
Yeah.
If you're interviewing somebody and you're not listening, you're not having a conversation.
Yeah. When people always go like, do you have a list of questions? I go, why would you? Why would you have a list of questions? Because then you're thinking about your next question rather than...
you're not listening to what I'm saying.
And somebody could say something incredibly interesting and you just blow it off and go into...
And you see that in interviews too.
Yes.
You can see you can see when somebody is plowing to get to a point, because in their mind they already had the interview that they wanted in their head. Yeah. So they're like, I know that they're going to answer this question.
But that's the best talk show hosts work the way that you do.
Yeah.
Even on TV, if they just let you, they go with whatever's going. Carson was great at that.
Carson had a confidence and he also liked the other person to be funny. He wasn't looking to top all the time. Who, when you were growing up on Carson, who were the comedians that you wanted to see? What was it about Rickles for you?
So funny.
Yeah.
He was just so drop dead funny. He was, you never knew what was, you knew the style, but you never knew what was. Jonathan Winters, another one. I loved seeing Jonathan Winters. Again, another crazy man just going off the top of his head. You had great comics like, your Alan Kings, let's say, but it was all planned.
Yes.
When I was growing up, I'd see them on Sullivan, let's say. It was all like the act and the joke. And that's why I never thought of being a comic, because I would see these people and I'd be like, that doesn't really.
Right.
The first person I ever saw that I thought, oh, wow, that's interesting was Pryor.
Yeah.
How he worked. And I thought, oh, that looks like something I would like to do. But the setup joke thing didn't appeal to me.
The thing about Rickles that I loved is Johnny loved him, right?
Yeah.
So when he did that show, Johnny would be laughing hysterically, not helping along, but Johnny would be enjoying
genuinely laughing.
Yeah, genuinely laughing. And you knew that Rickles went into a hole that he didn't have any way to get out yet.
Right, right.
That was always exciting to me.
And you felt like you were at a party. You felt like the thing that Carson did so beautifully is you felt like in.
Yes.
You felt like you had the insight. I think that's what the Rat Pack did in those days. That people felt in, like they were a part of this group. And Carson was able to do that. He made you feel like you were at the party.
Yeah, it was an amazing, because there weren't even a lot of places. There wasn't like Entertainment Tonight. You didn't know how movies were made or who was doing it.
We were dumb.
Yeah. And we were dumb in terms of the business. But what was also interesting, people would do Carson when they didn't have anything to promote. To be on Carson was an ends.
Well, yeah, it seemed like then late night was so much more of like some kind of sophisticated dinner party where like the best guests ever were there, as opposed to just a commercial.
And also, it could make your career too.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a way that if you're on, Seth Meyers, I love Seth, but being on a show is not going to make your career.
Yes.
In the way that being on Johnny could make your career in those days.
You know who told me that story was David Brenner when he did it like in 71. He said that show aired and it was like, you're opening for Sonny and Cher and you're doing 10 weeks in Vegas and all stuff that didn't exist. He's doing, $10 sets the night before. And afterward, he had hundreds of thousands of dollars of gigs lined up for one appearance. Nothing could happen. Like, you could get a Netflix special and you're not going to have that same
exactly
thing, no matter what
it's a different time.
30 million people were watching that. 30 million people. Everybody now is getting like 1.5 million.
And they're lucky to get it.
Yeah, if they get it at all.
Look how old people we sound now.
You know what?
In my day.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't necessarily think it was better, but it was definitely different.
It was different.
It was just
different. And that's what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And watching people like Jonathan Winters and Rickles, it gave me this sense of the fun of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just this set up, punch, laugh. It was fun. And that's what I always tried to do on stage. I would be like, okay, this is my party and we're all here. And, have the audience feel like this is happening in this moment and it's never going to happen again. It's very live and fresh.
You actually said something to me once. You said something like, if one table was taken out and another table would put in, the energy of the room would change, no matter what it was.
That's right.
That was the specific energy of those people. I've never stopped thinking about that wherever I was. Because a lot of times when you have a tight audience, maybe you're missing 3 extroverts or one rowdy person changes. But that chemistry of that night, people forget that there is a chemistry that happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I was thinking of it when I was in the audience for SNL. It was like my first time doing it, but I was in the audience for the rehearsal. And then the live show happened later, and that's with a different audience. So I was able to watch the live show, and I could hear. I was like, "Wow, we were so much better of an audience. Like we had good laughers. I felt we were smart. I feel like
you felt proud of your audience.
I felt very proud that we had a good group, and I felt terrible that this was the one that went live. I was like, we were better than them.
Sometimes there's somebody in the audience, and it's not an extra. It's somebody quiet, and they become like the president of the audience. And they give off a vibe that just taints the entire audience. It's a very strange thing. It's group. It's actually appropriate politically when you think about the group dynamics of these rallies and what that's all. And what was that book I read when I was a poli-sci major about that the herd mentality?
We'll find our own leaders even without talking about it. We'll know who we think is in charge.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing, and how people, why did all those people follow Hitler? What did he tap into? There's something in the group mentality that's a collective unconscious.
Yeah.
If I may use a Jungian word.
Well, I also think that it's very odd, and I don't know whether it's nurture or nature, but white men do feel like we should be in charge. Like if the elevator just stopped and we were in it, there would be a white guy who goes, "Here's what we need to do, everybody." And everyone would look to him because it's somehow there.
I think it's nurture.
Yeah.
I think that if you were in the middle of Nigeria, it wouldn't be the white guy who's doing that.
But could you imagine, like, if the elevator stopped and an Asian woman says, "I think what we should do," we were like, hold on for a second. There's a very tall white man right here. He's got to be 6'2". I think he's going to know what to do. We should listen to him. But it's very bizarre, and I think that drives people crazy sometimes about white guys. But I don't think it occurs to white guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think they just think like, I'm needed. I'm finally needed. And this is going to be...
Is that what it is? Is it's about need?
Yes.
Because they always say that men want to feel needed and women want to feel cherished.
Is that right?
I don't know if it's true. I've just heard this. I think that's a Men Are From Mars thing or something. But men want to feel needed. And I see that.
Yeah.
As a strong woman, that it's always been like, you don't need me kind of a thing.
Right.
I need my husband bad if he's listening. I need you so bad.
I will say that we always think, men, we think that we're needed by leaving and doing something and bringing it back. And no one ever says during an interview to a man, how do you do it? How do you balance work and family?
But this is hunter-gatherer. This is pure hunter-gatherer. Men hunt, focus on the hunt, and you're bringing back the sustenance. And you do need that because otherwise you're going to die. The woman is multitasking with the kid on the hip and picking berries and talking to her girlfriend, and then the other toddler running around over there. And but men hunt, focus, hunt. It's part. It might be in our DNA.
Yeah. Well, there is something even with kids, I think. When you think of how much a mother does for the children, and yet the father is the one who's more likely to get the parade and celebration from the children, because they're like, "Oh, daddy's home," and they're jumping up and down.
Oh, yeah.
And when I even think of my dad, he was most of my memories are on vacation with him. Right. I don't have a lot of memories from home because he worked a lot, and then when he came home he was on the phone.
Well, I always like this cliche is when there'll be a group of people and dad is holding the baby and they're just like, he is such a good dad, and he's like holding a baby. He's holding a baby, and nobody has ever I've never heard someone go, what a great mom she is, and she's doing something able to communicate with her child and get them to stop having a tantrum and feeding them that. Nobody goes, what a great mom. People always say, what a great dad.
And you know what, so as a stepmom, I still do more than my husband, who's their biological father.
Yes.
Still do more.
Well, it won't even be close.
And by the way, it's fine because I'm just so much better at it.
Yes. Yeah. You know what's really funny though? I noticed this, and even when like the kids were little and I would cook, that would be the meal that we would all discuss. You know what I mean?
Because it was special.
Yeah, it was like, do you like
really
that?
Good.
Yeah. we never put
Women
your mom
are
over.
second-class citizens.
Yeah.
We really are in so many ways that's not perceived. It's just,
But it's almost the volunteer. There's a quiet acceptance, I think. Don't you?
Yeah.
Like a woman's like, I know what's really happening and I'm willing to be the one. But men
part of that is I think that men have birth envy. You know, women have this amazing power to create life. I mean, what's more amazing than, you know, you create an entire person for 9 months growing inside of you. And I think that's one of the reasons why men are so power hungry, because they can't do that ultimate creation that women can.
Most of the time, we don't even want it to happen.
Susie Essman's in studio. Curb Your Enthusiasm airs Sundays at 10 p.m. on HBO, on Twitter at HBO, and on Twitter at Susie Essman, hashtag Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Don't follow my Twitter. I never write.
You never write. You're not.
I know.
We got to get you back doing stand-up, though. Let's think the right occasion.
I'll come back.
Yeah.
But just, I'm taking a little.
But you're not interested in touring, catching planes, and going,
no.
That's the tough part.
That I can't do.
Yeah. Just come down to work Caroline's.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I could do that. Jeff's there this weekend.
Jeff is there this weekend. You ought to do a walk-on. Just come walk on. The place would go insane.
You know what I'm doing tomorrow night? Yeah. I can't, actually, because tonight I have to watch the Yankee game. Tomorrow night, I am actually officiating at a friend's wedding. I have become ordained.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I'm the minister, the priest, the rabbi, whatever you want to call me. That's what I'm doing.
And are you doing it at a temple? Or are you doing it in the backyard?
No, it's in an event space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting, though.
Yeah. It's my first time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Your first time ever?
Yeah, and I had to, writing the ceremony, I had to kind of do a balance of having a couple of funny lines, but this is real. You're making a sacred vow when you marry somebody. So I also had to take it seriously, but I didn't want to be too treacly and sappy. It was like a big balancing act. I hope I hope it's okay tomorrow night.
Well, you're fantastic, darling. Let's not wait too long.
All right,
so long
you're on
next time. Chris, one more plug.
Susie Essman has been in studio. Curb Your Enthusiasm airs Sundays at 10 p.m. on HBO, at HBO on Twitter, and hashtag Curb Your Enthusiasm.
We'll be right back. Bennington. Love you, Susie Essman.
I love her so much. That was great.
She's like a badass chick.
She is.
Yeah. Not a big fan of Trump. That's the whole Curb show.
No,
not
at all. No.
As a show.
What show do you think is... I would have said, in the old days, you would have said, okay, the sports guys are a fan of Trump, but they're fighting with him now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The NFL guys, you would have thought they were perfect Trump guys. And I don't even mean just the players, the coaches.
Goodell.
The broadcasters. When I saw Terry Bradshaw turn on Trump, I'm like, I don't know what is even... I don't know where we are in this country anymore.
Terry Bradshaw and George W. together.
W was rough yesterday.
Yeah.
He was rough.
He made his feelings...
Casters. When I saw Terry Bradshaw turn on Trump, I'm like, I don't know what is even... I don't know where we are in this country anymore.
Terry Bradshaw and George W. together.
W was rough yesterday.
Yeah.
He was rough.
He made his feelings very clear.
You said to me last night, do you ever remember ex-presidents doing this with presidents? And the answer is no. As a matter of fact, Bush went out of his way not to talk about the Barack Obama. And he would say, hey, it's very difficult to be, president. And I wish him the best with everything he's doing. I know how tough it is. But that shit that he was doing yesterday, bringing up nationalism and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like a pre-World War II.
It was very, very strange. And again, it makes me wonder if you were a W supporter and now a Trump voter.
No,
well,
people,
where do you...
People dump their old loyalty.
Okay.
It's just part of it. Chris, cherry lifesaver.
I would love one.
And I do say cherry. I don't say cherry. Yeah. I say cherry.
Like to
there was a U in it.
Cherry rhymes with curry.
It does. Tim Curry would be my perfect cherry. Cherry?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Jen, I know you're on the other side of the glass, but would you like a cherry?
No, thank you.
What?
Unbelievable. We're all having
It's
cherry.
like a slap in my face.
Delicious.
You crunching yours?
Well, sucking.
That's very loud suck.
It is very loud sucking. and I hear teeth grinding. I feel like you're breaking it down. That you're chewing.
I'm not. Check it out. It's still whole.
That hole.
It's
that
still whole.
cave you call a fucking mouth.
No, it's loud as...
See, my thing when I'm sucking on a lifesaver, I like to bounce it around on both sides of the mouth. And
it's don't make this.
I don't even like the way he says
I give
the
you
mouth.
a nice lifesaver.
Like he didn't even say my mouth. He's like, I like to bounce it around the mouth.
He doesn't feel ownership over his own mouth.
He has to do the mouth.
That's why you're kind of like our Harvey Weinstein. Gropey.
In so many ways.
Yes, and remember when you were drinking that night, you were very gropey.
Yeah. I mean, when you drink, you get very handsy.
Yeah.
You also get very dicky.
You get handsy and dicky. That is true.
You get handsy?
You start to push the dick.
And then the dick comes by.
I didn't know that the dicky was a term, but...
You do get dicky.
I had to invent it for you. Most people don't get dicky when they're drunk, but you do.
Some people, when they're dressed up to go out to dinner, they'll wear a dicky. You just take yours out. Look, Jen is so grossed out right now. You know why?
Things used to be different, right?
You could be enjoying a cherry lifesaver. And that's why I feel okay with everything. I'm balanced out.
They're delicious. There is a story that occurred that I never told you guys. This happened between that first Tinder date, the girl I slept with, in that winter period, and like around Christmas.
Okay.
And it came back to me because of all the Harvey Weinstein stuff, and now David Blaine and the other wife Weinstein.
Okay.
I had to relay this. I'm just going to take the goddamn lifesaver out. I was at a party it was a anti-Christmas party, because when I was first on Tinder, I also ran into a girl that I went on a few dates with like years ago, before even my last girlfriend. So she invites me to this party. I meet another one of her friends at this party, and we're drinking all night.
Why is this an anti-Christmas party? Is it at Christmas?
It's like around Christmas, but it's like a dark Christmas or something. I don't know. I think one of them were pagan. I'm not
like
sure.
S&M?
Possibly in their personal life, but they were calling it an anti-Christmas party.
Why not just a Yule? That's what the pagans celebrate.
So about a party around Christmas time.
He's at a metal party.
Yeah, that's not.
There was
by the way, this story stinks.
Yeah,
hold on.
I hate this part for sure.
And so it's a female who invited me to the party. She has a friend who I'm talking to all night, and we're drinking and we're smoking and we're having a good time. So towards around 3, 4 in the morning, I black out. I come to, I'm walking to the train. I don't know how I got out of the party. I don't know what happened. Then I'm thinking, wait a minute, I should go try and pick this girl up. So I go back to the party. I walk into the party, the lights are off, and there's I don't see her or the host, and there's 3 or 4 dudes there, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing back here? And I'm like, what? Because the last thing I remember, we're all having a good time. Everyone's happy. It's fine. It's just a fun party. They're like, you got to get the fuck out of here, dude. Right fucking now. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? These guys are pissed. They're not putting their hands on me, but they're all coming towards me get the fuck out of the apartment. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Because I had no idea. Total blackout. Apparently, as I was saying goodbye to everyone or whatever, and to this girl who I was talking to all night, I got her phone number also. So it wasn't like I was being whatever. I think I might have grabbed her ass or maybe tried to kiss her or something, because I still don't know this day. And then I'm guessing that's what happened, because they're pushing me out of the apartment, and then I'm screaming, well, let me just talk to her. I don't know what happened. What are you people talking about?
Oh, God, Chris.
Let me tell you something. It couldn't have just been an ass grab.
No.
Because that wouldn't have become everything. Everybody wouldn't have known about it. You probably had a knife up to her throat.
I didn't have a knife on me at the time.
Chris, this is
You left your knife behind?
I doubt it.
Right. So why would you bring this up to us? What is the purpose?
You are confessing that you too.
Well, no, I
sexually
talked to her
assault
eventually, and everything was fine. I think eventually I was able to talk to her outside the party. She agreed to see me. I shook her hand and then got into a cab and got out there.
You just had blacked out. So you weren't sober during that conversation. You were still...
I was still hammered.
In a haze of sorts. So I don't think that you can go, it went pretty well as far as...
How did you go back to the scene of the crime?
Because I didn't know it was a crime scene.
Sally's going at a crime scene.
What's a crime scene?
So you admit.
No. But
so why are you bringing this up to us? This thing that you should be hiding.
Yeah, that.
Why are you saying it on the air?
Like, I mean, this can be used against you in a court of law.
Jesus Christ.
If she knew.
I bet if we even check with those people, he probably shit in a coffee cup and throw it all over the fucking food.
That's probably more likely. Although he does get dicky, as I said.
He gets very dicky.
Chris,
blackout.
That night that you blacked out, the night that you went to the hospital,
yeah,
I saw you do something on the street.
Oh God,
that
no, right.
Well, it should haunt you forever. I know it'll haunt me.
Just knowing that it should haunt me, it haunts me because I don't know what happened. I was again another total blackout.
I will say this: when I was in elementary school, we used to play a game.
Yeah,
called Dress Up Day.
All right.
You were doing close to that.
Oh, boy.
Now, I will say this.
Yeah.
I did not see the woman fighting it. I saw the woman, I guess some people could say, taking advantage of a drunk. And taking advantage by just letting him do what he wanted. Because all of it was being done to her. Jen.
In many ways, falling upon the sword.
I wish you would have told this story in front of Jeff Garland, the People's Champion.
I would not have done that.
Why are you telling us?
I know.
Why burden us?
I don't want to burden you.
Don't Bob Weinstein us.
Yeah, because now we know, and we're like the people who's like, why didn't you say that Chris Stanley was a
I'm just going to
monster?
say I don't care about others. That's my way out of it. I have zero empathy for anybody.
It was ridiculous because I walked.
I wish you would have said that in front of Susie Essman.
No, I couldn't say that in front of Susie Essman.
Vito, how did everything go?
You know?
It went great.
Okay. You got everything you wanted?
Yes.
With both of them?
Only one of them. And, I got 2 out of the 3 things.
Okay.
Cool.
To me, you should only be going for 2 things.
I asked about those 2 first, and she didn't want to do one. And then I asked about that after, and she was okay with that.
I want you to know. Just don't, you know what I mean? Just don't make it a fucking nightmare for people.
No, she was really...
Garland actually said to me, are you involved in this or this fucking kid? He goes, if it's for you, I'll do it. I'm not even making that up. You can ask these 2.
I'm sorry.
It's true.
You made him feel less than comfortable. And I go, he hasn't been getting his greens lately. He lost the bet.
I hate that I made Jeff Garland uncomfortable.
Stop just repeating stuff and being in a very unfunny way.
Just concentrate on the fact that you have no roughage in your diet any longer.
Nope.
And I don't know how you're going to pass,
Well, I could just get fiber in other ways, like Fiber One bars. I can eat oats, I guess.
This isn't funny stuff. What you're doing is the exact opposite of being on a radio show. You're just being bland and dull instead of going for the joke. Okay, he says. That's his joke now, okay? Chris?
Yes.
Down in the office, there should be a long rope with a noose. Get that, get a chair to kick out, and get it over these beeps.
I can't do that.
I hope it's high enough. I don't want my feet just bouncing off the thing. And also face me towards the TV, because I want to watch some TV as I'm choking out. Jen, does anybody in your family own a gun?
Yeah, my dad.
Good. Borrow it from him. Come in here and shoot me in the back of the head. Would you do that for me?
Sure.
Yeah. And get your dad as a joke to write a murder thing that he wants to kill Ron Bennington. I feel pretty good about this. I think that you guys could ask Jeff Garland and Susie Essman to both speak at my funeral.
Oh, yeah, of course, if you would wish.
Who would be the people that you would like to speak at my funeral?
Wow. That's really good. I have to think about it because, there's a lot of people that I think would be great for it. I mean, you have so many friends.
I want more than friends. I want big celebrities.
You want big,
there. Yeah,
big names.
I don't even want any of my friends invited. Chris, who would you get if you could book it?
I get Robbie Robertson to speak at your funeral. I think you really like that.
Wow.
Dude,
that's really...
That'll impress my friends.
Yeah.
That's really big.
I know he's going to end up making a lot of it about himself, though.
Yeah, but it's still going to be good.
Oh, you know what? Don't get him to speak. Let him come up and do a song.
All right, got it.
How about Paul Feig? I feel like that's
fantastic.
Paul Feig would be a big name, a big get. He loves you.
Ask him to bring cast of his movies with him too. I would like to have the entire cast.
Yeah.
Of Bridesmaids there. And
okay.
Tell them also cry.
Oh yeah.
Time. I need somebody from the political world.
You see, Bannon would come.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't feel like I've got a close relationship with Steve Bannon. We worked in the same building, and that's about it. I don't know. We'll see. Excited about Feig speaking, though. He's good. He's going to be able to craft it into a great story.
And we got Robbie doing a song, so that'll be nice.
I don't even know if we got enough time for that.
I'm going to bump him
now. How long do we have the room booked? Do we have a heart out?
By the way, you know how a lot of people, they'll just be laying in a coffin and that freaks people out?
Mm-hmm.
Put me on a city bike. Just have me sitting there on a city bike.
It's what he loved when he was alive.
Spin take.
Do those city bikes have a basket?
No, they don't.
Shit.
We could rig one on
Yes,
there.
they do.
What? Which is it? Yes or no?
Yeah, they do. They have a small basket on the front. It's not like it's a little thing you could put briefcases and different kinds of.
Well, could Birdie fit in it? I would love that Birdie thing.
Yeah, Birdie could fit in there.
You're not gonna outlive Birdie?
No, not the way I've been feeling. Everything's been aching. Actually, I've got a pain behind my eyes that can only mean giant tumor.
Oh God!
I can't think of anything else it would be.
Oh no!
I self-diagnosed, so I'm not worried about coming up with the right thing.
This is barely a basket. There's no sides to it.
The question was a basket, not barely
All
or
right,
not.
easy, dude. This is why nobody likes you, and everybody was glad that fucking Chris beat you.
Everyone
yesterday.
loved it. Everyone
I
was
wanted
happy.
you to work on you being likable.
I'm not. I'm just. He's an asshole, and I don't.
So what?
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah, he's also a sexual predator. We know a lot of things about Chris.
I apologize for that.
But he came up with an unbelievably great opening for the show, and I'm going to cover for him with the police. You don't understand. I need this man. But why is he so angry with Chris?
I don't know, because everyone loves me.
No, not in this office, not in this building.
I'm very likable.
No,
Where does this dude? Why are you even saying stuff like that?
Because he's a dick to me all the time. I'm just defending
I've
myself.
never seen it. I've
Right?
never once seen it.
Yesterday,
He brought up a basket. That's all.
Yeah.
He says that this thing could not technically be called a basket.
Now, what's a basket? Does the basket have sides, Ron? How many sides? How many sides does the basket
Well, I
have?
would say it has four sides and then a bottom.
Don't infantilize him like that.
No, I'm on the witness stand, so he has a right to manipulate this to his.
Do they have sides, Ron? Tell me
do.
this.
They have the four sides and then the bottom. That's five sides, really.
Okay, well, I brought up a picture of a city bike, in quotes, basket, and there's two sides to this basket.
there's also cords that would wrap around the sides of it, and people use it every day.
That's not a basket when it has cords on it.
No.
But it's a basket because it just carries what you need to be carried on your
Don't
bike.
think so.
A dog, which was the thing in question?
A dog will be fine.
I'm worried about Bertie falling out of that.
Not with the cords wrapped up.
I'm not wrapping cords around that dog.
No.
Not around the
You're
dog.
trying to kill my dog? I just lost my father.
Okay, this is an aerial
This is a
view
bad week for you.
of
An
the,
aerial view? Why would we have that?
of the basket.
Yeah.
And it's not a basket. It's just a fucking, I don't even know what to call this metal piece of garbage.
Shield?
Yeah, it's more like a shield than a holding basket.
You guys just want to have shields at my funeral, and that's it?
No, we're just going to have a city bike. Maybe we could rig a basket on there.
Bertie would have a blast in that basket.
I'm not putting Bertie in that.
No.
Apparently, you're not a dog lover. You never even owned a dog, have you?
I did. It died of cancer.
Jesus.
You
Just
put
like
it in
your
a basket, didn't
That's
you?
your dad,
You put
not
it in
your
a
dog.
basket.
What'd you do? Put it in a basket of cigarettes? You fucking crazy bitch. All right, I just saw a Harvey Weinstein thing that said anybody who accuses me is getting raped a second time. I don't think that's the best statement. That's not the best statement to make.
It's good defense is good offense is what he's thinking.
You want to get raped again? Keep talking. I'll rape all of them.
I'm making a list.
Checking it twice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bastard in a basket. That's you, Vito, bastard in a basket. I feel bad that Vito doesn't make films after 4 years of being a movie guy.
Makes me feel bad too.
Yeah.
Dream died. Nothing you can do about a dead dream.
Yeah, you're right about that. And there's nothing that I know of that rhymes with failure. Or I'd write a poem about him. I just can't rhyme anything with failure. I guess I am now one. I'm no longer a poem. My dream has died.
This is sad.
By the way, your dream didn't die. It was murdered by you. When you find out that you had to work 2 days in a row, you didn't want to do it.
Well, that does seem like a lot.
I know. I try to shoot a movie a day, every day. I came up with a movie concept that I'm pretty excited about.
What is it?
I call it More Jaws.
Okay.
And it's just like more sharks than one.
Wow.
You know? More Jaws, if you will.
So you don't see that it's like Jaws 2, Jaws 3.
I didn't see those.
Okay.
I see there's more Jaws. Most Jaws. So many Jaws, you're going to fucking go crazy.
And then so much Jaws.
So much Jaws there. I was just watching a film called Jaws. And it's really good. There's an enormous fish, okay? An enormous fish. Think of the biggest fish you've ever seen.
Okay.
Bigger.
Whoa.
Now think even bigger.
Giant fucking fish.
I wanted to call that movie Fins because it's, you know.
They
you see
also
more
have fins.
Yeah, they do have fins. I did have a idea for a movie.
Mhm.
I'm pretty fucking excited about this concept. You can fill in the blanks.
Sure.
So you got it's the 1970s, like the Deuce. Vito, look up. I just mentioned the Deuce. And just hang on every word when you see me talking like this. Now, it's these young guys, I don't know, they're running fucking dope. They're having a great time. Times Square. They're mugging people. They're doing everything. And somebody gets killed. The guy ends up getting 40 years. This fucking kid, 25-year-old kid, whatever, he gets 40 years. He's fucking in jail, Sing Sing, wherever. I don't give a fuck, Attica. You know, come up with a great name. And we're watching him getting older and older. And then he's Chaz Palminteri. That's how old he is now.
Mm-hmm.
And what's he do? He gets out of jail and he goes back to Hell's Kitchen, right off of Times Square, to his old apartment. And he has never seen any of this shit. He's never seen fucking cell phones. He's never seen a G-rated Times Square. And now it's what? A fish out of water comedy. Okay?
I love it.
Isn't that, wouldn't Chaz Palminteri be great for this?
That's perfect.
Who wants to write the script?
Do you want to write it together, me and you?
Dude, I just gave you fucking gold. Now you're saying, do you want me to sit there and bend gold? No. I'm giving you the gold. You write up the rest of it from there.
And I'll punch it up.
Yeah, you punch it up. Yeah. Chris?
Yeah.
You keep the Hitler hair going.
Is it Hitler hair right now?
Yes, you look like fucking Joy Division's coming to town. Now, what could be... All right, so we got the thematic thing of this, right?
Yeah.
And it would be great just having Chaz, he's old gangster, and he's wandering around Times Square. How fucking hilarious that'd be, right? But what would happen to, you know, what's what's pushing this plot along? That's what we need. And that's where you come in.
Yeah.
All right, maybe he's like, he's looking for like the hooker that he used to date from back then and trying
but she's going to be 80 too. I mean, that's not that romantic.
But she's not a hooker anymore.
Dude, he's got to fucking bang somebody who's 20. This is Hollywood we're dealing with, right?
The hooker's daughter.
Harvey Weinstein. That's disgusting,
sick.
dude.
This isn't one of your porns.
Yeah. Why don't we do this? He goes down to the subway, right?
Yeah.
He ends up getting his dick caught in the door. It's fucking ripped off. Because we want to have some comedy in this.
Right.
Yeah. But wouldn't it be funny, like he goes to Harlem and he sees the white kids living there.
That's great.
You know?
And then
he goes to Brooklyn. He sees it's all He was like, coffee's fucking $7. He just fucking takes a coffee, throws it in someone's fucking face, takes out a gun and shoots them. He shoots everybody in the coffee shop.
This is going to be hilarious. Plus that dick rip-off scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to actually show the dick because that's what we do now in comedies.
Yeah.
We show
What
dick.
if there's this could be the funny thing, right? So he killed somebody 40 years ago. I'm 77. And that person's older brother, is old and is still trying to kill him.
Okay.
We just have two old
Perfect.
people fucking blasting
That's
each other in
hilarious.
Times Square. And they're shooting each other in Times Square. And you just see tourists getting fucking hit. You
So
see like
funny.
the Minnie Mouse gets fucking one through the head. You know, just like really
He
hilarious
definitely
shit.
has to have a
Yeah.
fight scene with one of those, like,
An Elmo.
yeah, one of those Elmos or something.
Now, here's the thing. He's like, maybe he's like, you know what? I'm going to fucking fit in here. I'm going to be part of Times Square. And just as he says that, he looks up as the big news thing. And he sees that North Korea has launched fucking nukes. And they're just coming into Times Square, just fucking blowing it up.
Nukes?
Yeah. And,
Dystopian fucking comedy.
yeah. Your neck is killing you.
It hurts so bad.
And then the last scene, people are fucking blowing up. And he just looks back into the fucking camera and says, "Looks like I'm getting fucked in the ass one more time." Or something like that. Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah. I think I can get Susie Essman in it. I can get Jeff Garland.
Who do we go after as the older guy trying to kill him?
By the way, once you're done writing, you're not part of the fucking casting.
No, I want to be.
I never bring a writer on fucking set.
That's how Hollywood works. That's how Hollywood works.
You're not going to be on set. You're going to be upset.
I'll be a gaffer.
Is your name Charlie Kaufman? Then you're not going to be on set.
You know what? There's no I in fucking movie, dude. There's not.
That's all he cares about is his glory.
Sure.
Thanks. Why aren't you typing everything I'm fucking saying to you? What are you fucking doing? I just gave you not only the movie, but probably the sequel. It's called Times Square Heaven. That's what's happening. All these people go to heaven at the same time.
They just move all of Times Square up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you're set up for a sequel, which is great.
Whole franchise.
Cool. You got to think franchise these days.
Cinematic universe. There's
I'll
no
say
other
the
way.
same thing I said to you with the McDonald's brothers. You got to think franchise. You know, if you don't, I'm pushing you out of here. And then I'm the founder. But anyway, let's get this fucking movie made. See if we can get Judah Freelander in it.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be with him Monday night. He's fantastic. He's the champion of the world.
That's 8 p.m. at the Stand, the comedy
I know
club.
it is, Chris.
Here in New York City, you go to the ibang.com for a chance at free tickets.
I'm going to go there for free tickets because I want to try to win the person who gets to talk to him at the Unmasked.
You should get Donald Sutherland to play the other older dude trying to kill Chaz Palminteri.
Donald Sutherland? What fucking year is this, dude?
I mean,
it's the fucking 90s.
Malcolm McDowell, then. I think that'd be great.
I want to have an Italian, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And funny.
Why are we going to have a fucking English guy like, I'm here from England. I'm going to kill this mafia guy. That doesn't fucking work that way.
I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, your ideas suck. I don't need ideas. You know what I need out of you?
What's that?
Get some fucking backers. Come in here with money.
All right, get some VCs up in here.
He's just, you're not part of this fucking movie. You notice I didn't even take it to you.
No, you didn't.
What are you talking to him about, you know?
What's happening?
He's got a personal background going on.
Leslie?
What's happening?
I've just got a call. I don't even know what it's about yet because I just picked up the phone.
Who was the person?
That's Paul.
Go ahead and take it. You talking to him now? How's it going? Is it going okay with Paul?
I'm on speaker.
Paul wants to call himself Pauler, the baller.
It's cool.
If he's probably saying that he went and fucking already got the rights to that movie. Yeah. By the way, since we're using Chaz Palminteri, I got the perfect fucking title for this movie.
What?
All That Chaz.
It's going to be called Chaz in the movie, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be Chaz Palminteri.
Oh, he's literally Chaz Palminteri. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And all that Chaz.
All that Chaz.
Because he sings and dances, right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. He's a Broadway guy.
Yeah. Of course he's a fucking Broadway
Maybe Danny
guy.
Aiello for the other guy.
I would love the idea of getting Danny Aiello.
Paul Sorvino, how about that?
Just made a decision, Chris.
What the fuck is this? Goodfellas 2?
No, it's All That Jazz.
That's right.
Or Times Square Heaven in the sequel.
Shh, don't even bring it. Don't jinx us with the sequel. And I just want to... a lot of scenes are like he doesn't know how the world works.
Yeah, that's always
so he's
the
like
funniest.
this. How's this little square of a phone? A phone is a big thing that you keep at your house in the kitchen. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Maron, what's with this? You know, everything fucking surprises him. Look how tiny the cars gets. You know, something like that. Hey, what happened to colored people singing? They're just rhyming now. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a thing.
And then, you know, of course, that doesn't go over well. It's awkward.
And then
he's
some really
good reaction shots.
He's in Times Square. Hey, I'm sorry. I thought you were a hooker. You're in Times Square. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And then maybe get into an argument with one of those mixtape sellers.
No, dude.
I already have the Elmo fight in it.
But
how many fights is
Well, stop it with mixtape. There's not going to be a fucking mixtape in this. Oh, God. Chris, I don't know how you put up with him.
I don't.
I'm sitting here and I'm weaving gold. And all of a sudden he's yelling about mixtape.
It's like a shitstorm just rolled in here.
I didn't even think of that. A storm of shit.
Yeah. Like it's raining shit.
Is that one of the geostorms?
I think it's probably part of the geostorm.
Or what if he actually goes like this at some point? Like he sees, you know, this thing. It's like, what happened at disco? It was around in 1970. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I turn on the TV. Where's the happy days? You know, something like that.
Yeah.
Look at all these channels they got now.
It's good.
Something like that.
Vito, did you get all this?
Yeah, I got that. I'm already scouting out outside Studio 54. What used to be Studio 54.
The writer. You're the writer.
You're not fucking scouting, dude. If you scout, you're going to forget your writing job. Go get a fucking typewriter today. Get 2 big fucking reams of paper. And don't talk to me until I see fucking little letters all over both of those reams.
No
Plus,
typos.
I told you Jen's on locations. She always is.
Jen doesn't know any locations in this.
Why are you screaming? Just do your job. I'm not asking you to fucking. I'm asking you to fucking make the potatoes, not plan the menu. Okay. Right, the easiest thing to do is to write a movie. Anybody could do it. It's the easiest fucking thing to write an award-winning movie.
He might have
What's
to
the story with Jackie today?
He's just got up here.
Why is he getting up here? Why don't we break before he got here? What's all this stuff that you got?
Jackie's book, The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, will be available this Tuesday, October 24th in stores and online. And he'll be doing book signings at Bookends on Monday, October 23rd in Ridgewood, New Jersey, and on Tuesday at Book Review in Huntington, Long Island.
Don't tell him anything about my movie, okay?
Not a word.
Don't tell him anything about all that chess.
It's not going to happen, man.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, him learning about it. The movie will happen if Vito writes it. So Jackie's coming up next.
All right. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Bennington. And Jackie Martling's in studio. Jackie's book, The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, will be available this Tuesday, October 24th in stores and online. And Jackie will be at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey, Monday, October 23rd. And at the Book Review in Huntington, Long Island, Tuesday, October 24th. Wow.
Gail, when you look at something, this is a hardback book.
This is so impressive.
Hardback book.
Now, when it says author in my resume, it's not just a joke collection. I am an author.
No, an actual author.
So great.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing. The book has been available online for a while. It's JackieTheJokeman.com is the URL that goes right to it. And it's in hardcover and Kindle, but I did the audio version, right? Which you would think would be such a drag. It was so much fun to sit there and read the stupid book. And Artie, who did the forward, read his forward.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a good package.
You're going off. You're going to do Artie and Anthony today too, right?
No.
Oh, that's not today.
No, they haven't asked me, and I haven't asked them. Haven't known how he's been doing. I got to pick and choose my places.
But I love when you and Artie get together because
I love it too.
Yeah, it's hilarious to me that you reach in that same chair at different times.
Oh yeah, we have such a good. I did this podcast about 5 times, and I did this podcast, and we plucked this forward out of it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to people. I did a couple of those satellite interviews where you talk to 15 stations. I did like 15 today and 20 yesterday. And it's so great because all the DJs and all the people, they were all fans. They all came up, you know, so I'm talking.
They were all been young people when you were breaking in, and they based their life on like, doing what you guys did.
And they have interesting questions, you know, like, hey, why did you decide to write a book? You know, they really want to know the guts of it. So it's great, and I got a little outrageous, and what the hell?
What period do you think people are most interested in?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people listen to the show for segment. Like, in other words, maybe they listened when they were working a certain job from 89 to 91.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or they were going to college. Or, you know what I mean? Most people weren't listening solid for 15 years.
No, but there's every once in a while there's a TV show or radio show that you kind of need. You're going through a bad period of your life, and that becomes your buddies. And I know what that's like to have that thing.
Well, and I think the show is that to people, but no, there's no specific.
Right.
You know, I think maybe the late 80s, beginning of the 90s, when we were really taking hold and we were doing the Channel 9 show and everything was still so new and so groundbreaking, ball-breaking, crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't really know. And a lot of people are much more interested in how I got to the show than I thought. I thought the whole world knew how I got there, and nobody has any idea.
You know, I was actually just, because you've got a great comedy history long before you got that show. But I was just talking to Jeff Garland today, because he was one of the local guys at the old comic strip in Lauderdale. And we went through those guys that grew up watching the New York headliners come down.
It was so much fun. Now, I went with Jeff Garland to his brother's. I worked Jeff Garland's brother's high school prom. Did he tell you that?
No.
You know, he was working at the comic strip, and he really liked me, and we, I guess, got nice and drunk and drove down to Miami. I don't remember anything about it except he introduced me, and they loved him, and then they hated me. But they were so thrilled. I don't really remember, but I always wondered if he remembered that. We had so much fun down there, you know.
Yeah, I was saying that was like the prime gig for you guys to get, hanging out at the strip.
It was one of the crazy. Look, people can't see this, but if you look in the lower left. This is the first time I ever went to the comic strip, and I dragged all those guys to my hotel room.
Wow.
And that's Rodney's daughter, Rodney's son, Paul Reiser, Larry Miller, Bob Nelson, Peter Bales, Dennis Wolfberg, and Glenn Hirsch.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
That's in my motel room, because I was there with Rodney, and that was the day we were there for this huge picnic that I finagled.
Look at what babies all these guys
look
were.
At how young.
People forget, like, Dennis Wolfberg was breaking out so strong when he got sick, you know? He was really taking off.
You know, I have so many great, you know, I have a whole nother book that, you know, that's already written, because they really wanted this to be a lot of Stern. You know, I was with Wolfberg the day that he had decided to quit teaching, and me and Wolfberg and Bales went and did a gig in Jersey. My car overheated. It rolled to a stop. I had to stay overnight with the waitress and her brother. But Wolfberg had to get back because his car was parked where they told you at 6 o'clock in the morning. So the day he quit teaching to become a professional comedian, I left Wolfberg and Bales on the corner of Route 3 at 2 in the morning trying to get back to New York. And the girl's driving back, and I'm yelling, "Hey, teach!" You know? And stories like that just abound. And so it was so much fun, you know.
Yeah, your stories long before you get to the Stern Show are all, like I said, you look at that picture.
I know.
All those guys went on to have fantastic careers.
It was crazy lifetime. I walked 1,000,000 miles before I ever met Howard.
Yeah.
You know, I've been going around promoting in Philadelphia, and I was headlining in Philadelphia in like 79, working the comic strip and Bananas and the Comedy Works, you know, and John DeBella was the king of Philadelphia, and I knew him from Long Island. So I knew him for a decade before Howard started attacking him, you know.
How did that feel for you when you know DeBella, you know the guy? Because was Howard only doing that for...
Ron, the guy was... The day I met him, before he said hello, I knew he was a pompous prick. So it never bothered me. You know, he was an all right guy. And if I say, I mean, he's I guess a friend.
Yeah.
But he was, you know, he was the guy with the cigarette between his teeth. That guy, you know. So it was fun. It was fun to.
But was that just business for Howard back in those days? Did he mean it? Did he?
No. How can you get mad at somebody you don't know?
Yeah.
He didn't know the guy. All the guy was trying to do was do a radio show and get more listeners than him. That's not really something you could take personal, although Howard managed to do it.
Yeah.
But Howard managed to create it, you know.
I always, when I see Trump, the way Trump always has a battle going because he enjoys it. I think he took that from Howard. I always thought that Howard wanted to have a place to focus.
Well, nobody's going to walk along and say, "Hey, Gail, how you doing? Did you hear that Howard Stern's getting along really well with the guy in Philly?" You know, that's not news. You know? Chris Stanley's an asshole. Now we got something to work with. You know?
Now we're off to the races. Chris, you're not plugging it all, though?
Jackie,
I want to think of Jackie. I want him to get nice plugs.
It's JackieTheJokeman.com is the main place to go. JackieTheJokeman.com, and they have promised that anybody orders it online, it will be delivered to your door on the day of the release, October 24th.
Fantastic.
Which is great.
That's JackieTheJokeman.com to order The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, Jackie's new book. That's available in stores Tuesday, October 24th. And Jackie will be performing at Comics Mohegan Sun at 8 p.m. on Sunday, November 12th in Uncasville, Connecticut. And he'll be at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey, October 23rd at 6. And book review on Tuesday, October 24th in Huntington, Long Island at 7 p.m.
So people can come out, they buy the book, they get it signed by you.
Oh, and I got a New York City Thursday night at Barnes & Noble on the Upper East Side.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's a place, have you ever heard of this? The Vault at Victor Records?
Yes, I have. It's the old vaults in there, right, from years ago?
And they have all the millions of Victor Records was a record company before they merged with RCA Victor, and they have all the old recordings there, and they're actually in the vault, and it's a museum, and it's a place to do a show and a book signing. It's right outside of Philly, and my friend Ellen Vold runs the place, and she invited me, so I'm doing that on Saturday the 27th. Saturday the 28th, and then I just got another one at the Jackson Hall out in East Islip, out on Long Island. So hopefully all those hayseeds will come running around. No, I'm only kidding. My friend Frank McKay is a big time politician out there, and he knows, one of those guys where he knows everybody. You know? So he brings the whole gang, and I told him if they don't all buy a book, they're not getting out of here alive.
Did you record as a musician before you recorded as a stand-up, or?
Oh yeah, not well. But it was funny because, we always recorded our band and we always recorded the jokes along with the band.
Yeah.
But there was a bar owner who thought I was going to jump off a window because this girl broke my heart. So he agreed to back a song, and he backed the song called The Pot Song that Howard always played, Roll Up the Reefer. And we recorded that song and a love song on the back. And I recorded that at a studio, wound up working at the studio. And then when I bailed out of music and went into comedy, from working at the studio, I knew enough about the recording process to make my own album.
Yeah.
So everything kind of fed each other. But as far as actually recording, you were
recording yourself in the club. You would say you would bring the stuff in, or
my first record I recorded at Cinnamon. There was no comedy clubs on Long Island. Me and Richie Minervini started a comedy show at Cinnamon on Long Island, upstairs in Huntington at this place called Cinnamon, and I had a Nakamichi cassette player. And I tapped off my microphone into the left side and took the crowd mics, and they went to the right side, then bumped the cassette up to a reel-to-reel, chopped it up with a razor blade, and made my first record. My first two records were recording on regular speed cassette player.
Wow.
That is so crazy.
I was nuts. There was nobody to tell me don't do it. I came home one night and I said to my girlfriend, they laughed at every goddamn joke I told tonight. I should make a record. She said, so don't look at me, make a record. Yeah. And so I made a record. Then I made another one, and sending them all over the place. I had no idea what I was doing. And I heard about this guy coming to New York, and I sent these 3 records to a disc jockey. And, like Chris Stanley says, the rest is history.
But even, the way he would market himself, a guy would open up a comedy club and doesn't know what he's doing. And then Jackie sends him an album instead of here's a tape of my act. So he's like, this guy's already a recording artist.
Right.
Howard Stern gets 3 LPs. This guy must be somebody. Yeah, he's somebody who made records. That's who he is.
Yeah, because Pryor had 5 albums. You know what I mean? And that was.
And who would say that there's no delineation? This is a record and this is a record.
Right, exactly.
Who's to know?
So that was the thing. You didn't see, regular people with records in those days. So you're like, Cheech and Chong has records, Jackie the Joke Man has records.
I was the first guy ever that was standing at the door selling stuff when people were walking out, and they made fun. Ron, they broke my balls about it. I'm in Florida, and the guys used to, after the show at the comic strip, would stand there and break my balls as I sold albums and signed them and gave them to people. and they'd make fun of me. And all of a sudden, one day they realized that I'm making an extra $50 or $100 a night. And they said, wait a minute, maybe he's not so stupid.
Yeah.
You know, forget about the fact that the records get your name around it. You know, it's a no-lose proposition, which was very clear to me, but not clear. You know, when I started working on Howard, I was there every Tuesday. For 3 years, for free. I'd worked it, but I knew the value of being on that show.
Right.
Even what it was then, it was still pretty big in the tri-state area. But I'm announcing I'm at Governor's, and announcing my dial-a-joke. And there's countless guys that I called up and said, do you want to come do the Howard Stern show with me? Because you wanted me to bring guys on. And they'd say, what's it pay? I said, what do you mean, what's it pay? It's 50,000 watts of radio, you moron. There's no comics on radio anywhere. Nah, I'll pass, you know. And to this day, people come up to me and like, Jackie, I can't believe I said no to going on. Yeah. You know, but that, you know, either you see the value of it or you don't.
Right.
You know.
But you also had, Jackie, a ton of energy. You know what I mean? A ton of energy.
Ron, if I sit sometimes and think about what I did in one day in the 90s, and I can't get out of bed because I'm doing the show. And the way I did my records, I would get to the club and I'd have all my garbage that I sell, and I'd set up the microphones and set up the 4-track cassette recorder and run all the wires. And then, you know, after the show, I'd go out and get drunk and get crazy and pack up all my stuff. But I did a CD. And after I did my CD, to do the next CD, I had to take that entire 60 minutes of jokes out and replace them with 60 minutes of jokes that weren't up there or in there already. Yeah. I don't mean up there in my head, but headlining the whole time. I'm like spinning plates. I couldn't just go up there and get away with it. So I do a CD's worth of jokes and then get rid of them slowly but surely and do a second. I did that 6 times. 6 times I completely redecorated my apartment of my act, you know. And it works. But theoretically, with 6 albums, times 80 jokes. The jokes at the end of the last album are the jokes that I'd be telling you the 7th hour of standing at the bar. But I don't care.
But, and then like with your act, sequencing those jokes was always important, right? You'd had to know where to put everything.
You know, it didn't have anything to do really with anything other than, the kinetic energy of the thing. Like, a little fast, a little slow down, do this, you know. It wasn't really, well, let's put a Polish joke and let's put a lawyer joke, you know. And it's really fun. And some jokes, it's funny because I know pretty well inherently what works. But sometimes it's heartbreak that jokes that you really think are hysterical that people don't really laugh at. And jokes that I think are not that funny that people go nuts. So if I really believe in a joke, it stays. And if they believe in a joke, it stays. And everything else has to be funny consistently or it goes. And, you know, and you get so you inherently know what you can make work up there, you know.
You know what's always funny is everybody thinks they can tell a joke. And so many times somebody would stop me and go, I want to tell you a joke. And it's been painful to listen to.
Are they like old jokes or are they like a joke
they'll tell you a street joke. The joke should be fantastic. Yeah. Right? The joke is already a great joke, but it's the way they're telling it.
Yeah.
Well, people add to it or they get halfway through it and don't remember it. But, you know, I really should, whatever success I get, I deserve, because my entire life I have stood there at the bar and listened to that guy or that girl tell those jokes. And I've listened to the end of the night at countless parties and bars or wherever on the outside chance that I'm going to hear something I haven't heard before. And the stories of me hearing new jokes are just the most fun things in the world. The stories are great to me because I already knew all the jokes by 1975.
You know them all.
I was in a band and we told jokes. So if you tell jokes, of course, everybody has a joke for you. And I go to the bar and they say, hey, I got a joke for you. And I used to say, yeah, all right, I'll count down from 10. And by the time I get to 0, if I don't know the joke, I'll buy you a drink. I never bought anybody a drink. I knew them. And if you were telling a joke about 2 priests and a nun walking down the street, I'd say, oh, you know what? This is that joke about the Indian and the rabbi. You know, I just got so I could do it. But sometimes I worked with Mark Hudson the other night at the Iridium at one of his shows, and I came off and it was packed. I'm having a good time. A guy grabs me and goes, Jackie, I've known you since long before comedy. I used to go to see your band, and I love you, and I love your jokes. And I don't mean to insult you, but I got a great one. I just got to take a chance because I don't know if you know this joke. I said, listen, tell me because you never know. And in this crowded bar, and it's pretty loud, he told me a joke that's too dirty for my act, but you can tell on terrestrial radio, and you can tell it to a 5-year-old. And I'm like, this is the oddest joke. A woman calls the doctor, and she says, Doc, I have diarrhea. Can I take a bath? And he says, if you got enough. And I'm screaming. The guy says, you don't have to kiss my ass. I said, no, I really never heard that before. Oh, how funny is that? You can tell
yes.
It's a duty joke.
Yeah. And you literally don't see it coming. Chris, plugs.
Jackie Martlin's in studio. Jackie's book, The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, is available in stores this Tuesday, October 24th, but go to JackieTheJokeman.com to order it online. And Jackie will be at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey, Monday, October 23rd, at Book Review in Huntington, Long Island, October 24th, at the Barnes & Noble on 86th Street here in New York City on Thursday, October 26th, and then at the Vault at Victor Records in Berlin, New Jersey, October 28th.
Yeah.
Also, one of the great things, of course, Jackie is, the world's greatest joke teller, but also one of the great storytellers of all time because you've met everybody and you've stayed out late. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Done my homework. And the stories are great. I don't remember what ones I've told you, but the great stories. I already have my second book written.
Yeah.
I have 300 pages in my computer. It was Sophie's choice trying to decide what the hell to put in and what not, because everything is equally funny, equally hefty, so I just got to hope people like my writing enough that they say, yeah, we could really handle some more of this, because it's bite-sized pieces and it's modular and it's dated and it's fun. But the stories just of people trying to stump me with a joke, it makes people crazy. James Toback, did I ever tell you that?
No.
James Toback did the documentary on Mike Tyson, and it premiered at Sundance, and it's a huge party. I'm with my friend Tom Bernard, who's the president of Sony Pictures Classics, so we went everywhere. And we're there, and Tyson's there, and it's the Glitter Eye. It's Sundance. It's a James Toback premiere, and with the party afterwards. And Tom takes me up and says, James, this is Jackie Marlin. He says, oh, I'm a big fan. Nice to meet you. I said, oh, that's very flattering. Hi, James. He goes, I got one. And he starts to tell me a joke. And I stopped him and told him the end. And he kind of looked at me and he said, wait. And he tried another one. And he tried about 3 jokes. And I, of course, knew them all. And it shook him up. He's at his party. He's walking around with Mike Tyson. He's meeting people, doing interviews. He's circled back 5 or 6 fucking times. Wait, here you go. How about this one? Why the chicken? To get the other side. I'm sure it wrecked his night. But it's a great story to tell because I just know them,
And you, bringing up Toback, that you've been around a lot of independent film. He's great eye for independent film too.
You very rarely get lucky. Mm-hmm. So I did, my friend Elias Plagiano was a very talented guy, and he made a great movie, and now he's got all kinds of great stuff going. He said, I'm going to write a sitcom and write you a role. I'm like, okay, good. And a few years later, he calls me up, hey, I wrote you a role. We made this sitcom. It's a sitcom pilot. It's called Shoot Me Nicely. The trailer is at shootmenicely.com. But the trailer, the pilot works as a short film. We've won everywhere. We won in Hollywood. We won in Austin, Germany, England, Williamsburg, Sonoma. The thing wins everywhere because it's great. And William Sadler's in it, who's a great bad guy. But of all the quirks, Linda Hamilton is in it. She loved the idea of doing comedy. She was so great and so fun. And now she's doing the sequel to The Terminator with Schwarzenegger and James Cameron. How does that happen? And she's connected to us. It's like we just hooked up to a rocket ship, you know. So sometimes you get lucky. I'm going to be very rich and famous when I die very soon.
So you got some excitement about this.
I tell people, I stopped getting excited a long time ago. Not sexually. That was a real long time.
Oh, okay.
But why did I look at you, Gail? But it really is a kick. You know what it is? It's working for tips. I tell people, take 100 people who love the Stern Show and really enjoyed my role on it and are big fans. Out of that 100, do 90 buy books? Do 50? Do 4? Who buy? You don't know who's going to buy a book and who isn't.
Right.
And it's an unknown, so I'm excited. But I'm just promoting the piss out of it,
Yeah, but you we brought up promoting and performing are the two things that it seemed like you came out of the womb.
That's, I came out saying, buy something as soon as I make it.
As soon as I make it.
Now, did I tell you, I don't know, I think I might have told you the story, but it's the greatest story that when it was so long ago that the gang came to my house for a 4th of July party, and it was Howard, Robin, Fred, Gary, the whole gang. I didn't think John was even on the show yet. And we were at our rented house. We had these huge 4th of July parties, which he talked about incessantly for years and years. But it was really true. We had these crazy parties. And my parents somehow were sitting in the backyard next to each other on lawn chairs. And they talked about that for years, about my parents and lawn chairs. I don't know if they ever sat next to each other before. But I said, come on, Howard, you're going to meet my father. Did I tell you this? And I walk him back to meet my father. And to this, my father died without me knowing this. I don't know whether he said this off the top of his head like a good Martling, or whether he had it stored away for a rainy day like a good Martling. But I walked up and said, Howard, this is my father. Pop, this is Howard. And he reached out to shake his hand and said, so nice to meet you, Mr. Cosell. And Howard just shakes his head and he goes, that's your father, all right. And that just tells the whole tale, So great. Great.
It's amazing, too, how many people came out of Long Island, really talented people. And also, I don't know if everyone in the country knows, but it's such a summer place. Like that whole place, it's almost like a vacation place for the people who live there all winter. It's a very unique place.
It's so wonderful. I live right on Long Island Sound, looking across at Stamford, and I live in Appalachia by the sea, the place that time forgot. And it's so wonderful. And people that come out there are just mesmerized. Long Island is really a beautiful, beautiful spot. I live on the North Shore, which is the Gold Coast. And when the Indians sold it to the settlers, they were laughing behind their backs because they sold them this worthless property that you couldn't farm. But meanwhile, it's the most glorious real estate in the world. It's fantastic.
But there's so many unbelievably talented people who came. And I never know it's because maybe you got to train into the city, but you're not going to be pure city people. You know what I mean? You're going to have, that suburban thing gives the people who grew up there a connection to the Midwest.
Flavor, right?
Yes. And, they understand. Like if you look at Seinfeld, he doesn't seem like a New York City sophistication at all.
He's like I've always maintained that it's the salt air blowing off, that makes people crazy and horny and happy and nuts. That thick salt air is like, I've always sworn that's it. I come home late at night and sometimes the humidity, the sea air is hanging. You can almost pluck it, and I take a deep breath. And I'm like, it's heaven. It's heavenly.
Yeah. But it's always funny to me to see it becomes a beach community, but it's not vacationers. It's people from Long Island there. Because there's not a lot of hotels.
Right. Right. Well, where I live in the 50s and before that were little shacks where people spent the summers. And slowly but surely people added to them and built them and it became a community. Long Island's an odd little place because it's huge gazillion-dollar mansions. The people that funded the people there's a guy who lived on Center Island, and he gave the money to the new guys that wanted to start businesses like Vanderbilt and Rockefeller. Yeah. This is the guy that funded them. And people say, "Oh, you're from the North Shore of Long Island. You're a rich kid." I wasn't a rich kid. The people in the mansions had to be serviced.
Right.
My grandfather was a blacksmith. There was a blacksmith shop on the corner of my property growing up. It wasn't still functional, but it was the barn was still there, So we didn't, my family got here in 1650. My family got to East Norwich in 1850. You would think somebody would have claimed some land and saved some money.
Yeah.
That's crazy. My ancestors did actually come to Staten Island in 1675 with a land grant. 1675. We should own the goddamn
town. And by the way, just think that's how far west they went. You know what I
mean? They weren't taking any chances. Wait till you read this book. The whole first chapter is about the rumor of whether I'm related to Theodore Roosevelt. and you're going to go nuts because it's really fact and it's really fun and it's going to make people crazy.
And that's been a rumor that's always been around.
It's been a family rumor for a long time, but none of us knew it. It wasn't past us until we got wind of it and then started asking around. And we're like, how the hell could you not tell us?
Right.
And then by the time I knew about it, everybody's dead. Nobody to ask. And you can't hold down a Roosevelt and pluck the DNA away from them. And they got to volunteer it, But I'm going to find out,
Well, did you ever see that picture of Teddy Roosevelt on Central Park West when he was a little boy?
Oh, I don't think I have.
Have you seen that?
Looking out at Lincoln's funeral with his brother Elliot. Yeah.
He's looking out the window at Lincoln's funeral procession coming down the street, and here's this little boy who's going to become the president one day. It's mind-blowing.
It really
is. That is so wild.
Yeah, that's a pretty ubiquitous picture. You can find that in a lot of places. They were in his, I guess, his uncle's gazillion, one of those Fifth Avenue or Park Avenue. No, people don't realize it because Theodore Roosevelt played it down. They were one of the 5 wealthiest families in all of Manhattan. I mean, they had crazy money.
Yeah.
That's how come I might be related to, because his father was a wonderful man who, if you go to the Museum of Natural History, the whole first floor is Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes.
And he's in front on a horse with an Indian, because his father started that. His father started the Boy Scouts. His father started not the YMCA, but he was an incredible philanthropist, but he also did whatever he wanted to. He was a rich kid. He was a playboy.
Yeah.
Definition of a playboy was a generation who didn't have to work for 2 generations. That was an actual definition of a playboy. So he was a great man and a great philanthropist, but he went and did whatever he wanted. He went to Maine and banged somebody, and here I am.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get some DNA. Oh, it's a great state. That's worth the price of admission, folks. Buy the book.
Go ahead, Chris.
Jackie's book, The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, will be available this Tuesday, October 24th in stores. Go to JackieTheJokeman.com to buy it online.
Thank you.
And like I said, Jackie's stories are always great anyway. And you met tons of people through this Stern show and even before the Stern show.
It was great. I met so many people, and I met great people when I traveled with Rodney a little. And you just if that's what you love show business and the whole thing, you just wind up running into people. And I was on the radio for a while before Howard, so I would meet people at concerts, and I love the fact I took the Young Rascals record to Michigan State with me because they hadn't been heard of out there yet, because they had a local hit, "You Ain't Gonna Eat My Heart Out Anymore," but they weren't national yet, and people were like, "Who are these?" And then "Good Lovin'" hit, and all of a sudden I was a hero, and now they're my friends. I can't wrap my head around that I email back and forth to Felix Cavalieri. I mean, this is my love and idol, and that's just. That kind of stuff. I'm a groupie. If you're in show business, you have to be a fan.
You know what? You brought up a great point too, because there used to be local hits, and you had to battle to get to be number one in each market. So Tommy James and the Shondells would be gigantic in one market, and not known.
And they couldn't sell a ticket the next town over. And it was and everything cost money. It was it was really a great regime.
And there were people that were connected that were whether or not you got on the radio. You know what I mean?
It was so funny because when I was a kid, we used to go to Murray the K's shows at the Brooklyn Paramount and the Brooklyn Fox, and I thought, how wild is that out of the top 10 records, 8 of them are on his show.
Yeah,
but it wasn't by accident. They wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have had their hit records if it wasn't for them paying him money to play the record. So it was a very small, a very small universe.
So you were thinking Murray the K discovered these guys, but they're also you had to put up money to be on that show. And they ended up busting him for that. But the reality of it is he did more to promote that music than anybody.
Great things. But they still walk, he did great things to promote bands, but if there's groups, but if there's 3 groups, whoever had the biggest paper bag full of money is going to be number one that week.
They would come in with cash. Where were those shows playing at? Here in the city?
The Brooklyn Fox.
Wow.
And then the Brooklyn Paramount were the ones that we went to. They were always the ones I went to were always in Brooklyn. They weren't in New York, and they were just amazing. And you'd go there and you'd sit through a show, and if you wanted to sit through and wait for another show, they'd show like 3 hours of the worst unwatchable movies in the world. But then the show would start again, and just everybody, and there was always a headliner.
Yeah.
The headliner was either the Isley Brothers or Jackie Wilson or Chuck Jackson, and just the roof would come off the place. So, you see in movies where the kids are going wild, but they really were going wild in the seats, God, it was so exciting.
So you're seeing like 8 bands in one night in those days, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably more like maybe 12,
Yeah.
The people who just had a hit. So here's a brand new group, the Four Seasons, and here's one of the things was, what's his name? Wayne Newton had just had that hit with
Donkey Shane.
We booed him off. We were all proud. Get the fuck Donkey, little fat bastard singing Donkey Shane.
So did you guys drive in from Long Island?
No, we're in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Well,
holy shit.
Nothing more exciting than taking the train and going to the St. George Hotel and swimming and then taking a steam bath with all the old Jews with their balls hanging and then walking over to Brooklyn Fox. Then sometimes get on the subway and go to Coney Island.
Yeah.
Are you watching the show The Deuce?
Yeah.
Because that's so gritty. But we were there 10 years before that. In 1960, we went to the flea circuses. I mean, it really was, Alex's Showland and the flea circus.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
But New York hadn't kind of given into crime when you were a kid, right? And then it started to happen after?
It was gritty, but maybe we should have been more frightened than we were. But, you get out of Penn Station, you walk to Times Square, you didn't go out to 8th, 9th, 10th Avenue.
Right,
so,
right.
How much danger you're in, you don't know. Danger's in your mind, and if it's bright lights in movie theaters, who's going to be scared,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true, that for some reason you're like, well, look at this. And even when it was like porn, you're like, this is still unbelievable. We're in Times
it still kind of
Square.
looks like Oz, no matter
what
it
year.
Was Oz, that lineup of film marquees, you could be entertained just reading the names of the goddamn movies, Sheila has a piano in her ass.
You've got the book out now, and you're out promoting it. Chris, let everybody know where they can.
Oh, let me say one thing.
Yeah.
The night before Thanksgiving, I used to promote on the Stern Show. The night before Thanksgiving or the night before the 4th of July, the wildest night of the year, because nobody works the next day. And the night before Thanksgiving, Wednesday the 22nd, I'll be at the Cutting Room doing, reading from my book and selling books, and that's going to be a real party. So
that's great.
Please come on out to that. Now, don't let me interrupt you plugging over there, you.
Jackie's book, The Joke Man, Bow to Stern's, available this Tuesday, October 24th in stores. JackieTheJokeman.com to purchase it online. On Monday, October 23rd, Jackie's going to be at Bookends in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Tuesday, October 24th at the Book Review in Huntington, Long Island. Thursday, October 26th at the Barnes & Noble on East 86th Street in New York City. On Saturday, October 28th at the Vault at Victor Records in Berlin, New Jersey.
And I'm telling you, you always hear stuff from Jackie, but I never heard those stories about when you were a kid coming in for those Murray the K shows.
Oh,
that's a movie right there, dude.
You know what? I have always wanted to make a movie about Murray the K.
Yeah.
Because nobody remembers. It was the greatest, most innocent time. It was a hair before the British invasion.
Yeah.
And it was so great. I got to be friends with this guy, and I went to Japan a couple times to see like Benny King and people like that. And we traveled with Benny, the greatest guy. I couldn't believe I'm sitting with Benny. I'm sitting with Stand By Me. And we're sitting there and I'm sitting, and Martha and the Vandellas, Martha is sitting next to me because she flew in because she's there the next week. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting with Martha. I said, I've always wanted to make a movie about Murray the K. She said, yeah? Well, you better include the part where I was in the back room and he threw Dusty Springfield in there and says, don't you come out of this room till this fucking broad is sober. and so I was on the Joey Reynolds show, and we're eating this food from Lamella. I said, oh, this stuff is great. He said, yeah, Frankie C brings it over. Oh, that's great. And I said, I always wanted to make a movie about Murray the K. And he goes, Frankie C. I said, what are you talking about? Frankie C., he passed away a while back, but he owned Lamella, and Frankie C. was the guy that walked over to the record companies with the paper bag and said, would you like Murray to play his song tonight?
Wow.
And I came up with a whole fantastic scenario for a movie about Murray the K. 5 guys, the Velvets. They never existed. Pretend like the 5 Satins or Dion and Belmonts, and they're on Ed Sullivan. And They have the hit record. They're low-life scumbags from the Bronx and Brooklyn, but they sing like angels, and they happen to put out a song, and it's number one. So they aren't Ed Sullivan, but they're ball breakers. So, Ed said, hey, that was very good. Come out here, fellas, and take a bow. And they come out to take a bow on live television, and one of the guys kneels down behind Ed, and the other guy pushes him over.
Schoolboys him.
So meanwhile, they're out of show business forever, and years later, they crawl back and they're at one of the Murray the K shows, and the mobsters see them, and he likes them, and he wants to bring them back to life. He goes backstage to see them, and he's talking to them, and one of the guys meanders off to the bathroom, and the mobster's daughter chases him, and the musician must have met her and pulled it. So the mobster and the musicians go to the dressing room. They walk in, and his daughter is blowing the drummer. So the mobster goes for his gun. So what happens? One of the guys kneels down behind him. The other guy pushes him off. It's a great movie. But meanwhile, the background is,
all the stuff that you love watching.
All the stuff that you love to watch. But, I've been trying to sell that forever. But who cares? What I'm famous, Ron.
Oh, it'll happen. Jackie, always a pleasure. Please go out and see Jackie, and please pick up this book. These are great, great stories.
The Joke Man, Bow to Stern, is available in stores this Tuesday, October 24th. JackieTheJokeman.com to purchase it online. Twitter, @Jackie Martling.
You're the best, Jackie. Great to see you.
Have you got 30 seconds?
Yeah, real quick.
So a guy's in a deserted island for 40 years, and he's an old man. They finally rescue him, and they say, "Oh, old man, I'm glad we saved your life. What do you want?" He says, "I want a whore, and I want a dozen condoms, and I want earplugs, and I want a clothespin." They say, "Okay, but why do you want earplugs and a clothespin?" He says, "There's two things I hate. It's the sound of a woman screaming and the smell of burning rubber."
Jackie the Joke Man, everybody. We'll see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!